Okay, good evening. Okay, so far what we have done, okay, no silence. Okay, so far what we have done in okay, silence. I can't pinpoint you and ask to remain silent. Okay, so today we are in the third day of polynomials. Okay, silence now. Okay, so we are in the third day of polynomials. So I'll just give you a 2 minute revision of what we have done in the first 2 days of polynomials. So the main two theories that we discuss under polynomials was factor theorem and the remainder theorem. So I'll explain these two again and then let's move on to some of the questions and do today's part. So the first thing that we discuss is the remainder theorem and the other one is the factor theorem. These are the main two theorems that we met in this lesson, polynomials. So what does remainder theorem state? The remainder theorem state when you divide a polynomial fx, when you divide fx, let's say when fx is divided by x minus a, when you divide fx by x minus a, the remainder theorem states that the remainder is equal to fa. So this is basically what we got from the remainder theorem. When fx is divided by x minus a, the remainder is fa. So if you can remember from where did we get this a is the value such that x minus a, we call this as the divisor. So this a is the value of x such that the divisor is equal to 0. So in this case, you know x minus a is equal to 0, which means x is equal to a. So that is why we consider this as fa. So in this scenario, if you divide the polynomial by x minus a, the remainder will be f1 because from where did you get this 1? 1 is the value of x such that this divisor becomes 0. So x minus 1 is equal to 0 when x equals to 1. If you divide this by x plus 2, I know x plus 2 is equal to 0 when x is equal to minus 2. X is equal to minus 2. So then the remainder that we get, it's f minus 2. The remainder we get, it's f minus 2. Even though you write this in this format, I'm dividing this by 2x minus 1. Same thing, the remainder will be half. From where did you get this half? It's 2x minus 1 is equal to 0 and x equals half. So I'm revising this because there are a few newcomers. So what I want them to understand, like when you come in between a lesson, I want say that 100% you can understand the parts that we will be discussing today. But I don't want to have that impression of you like because you're coming to the class in between a lesson and then you won't be able to understand what I'll be doing today. But I'm just revising this to have all understanding. Then at least you will realize, okay, this part I can understand, but I won't understand the entire part because I was not in the first 2 days. හරි කියන්නේ අලුතෙන් ආවහම පාඩමක් මැද්දේ ඔයාට පළවෙනි දවසේ අයිඩියා එක දෙන්න ඕනේ ඔයාට මම කියලා තියෙන දේ තේරෙනවද? එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔයාට මේකේ ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ මේ පාඩමේ මැද්දේ ආපු හින්දා තේරෙන්නේ නැති ගතියක්ද කියලා. මොකද පළවෙනි දවසේ ඔයාට ආවොත් එහෙම හරි මට අවුලක් නැහැ මට මේ කියලා දෙන දේ සර් කියලා දෙන දේක තේරෙනවා. පොඩ්ඩක් 100% මේක perfectly තේරෙන්නේ මොකද මට මේ අර මම මේ පාඩමේ මැද්දේ ආපු හින්දා කියලා තියෙනවා නම් අන්න ඒ ඉම්ප්‍රෙෂන් එක මට ඇති. So what I want you to understand, like try it your best to understand the things that what I am doing today because we will be doing this lesson for another 2 days. දවස් තව දෙකක් කරනවා. Then you can when you come in next week I'll talk to you at the then when you come in next week you will understand the entire lesson. Okay, so here when we divide by 2x minus 1 the remainder is f half. And from the other end, factor, what is the definition of a factor? I told you the definition of a factor is when we divide a certain expression or a term by its factor, the remainder will be zero. So that is the definition of a factor. Factor එකක් කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා අහුවාම කවුරු හරි යාගේ factor එකකින් බෙදුවාම the remainder will be zero. කීයක්වත් ඉතුරු වෙන්නේ නැහැ. So that is the definition of a factor. So when we apply that factor theorem to this remainder theorem, now let's say x minus a is a factor. If x minus a is a factor, so I know if I divide fx by x minus a, the remainder will be fa. No? So that I know. When I divide x minus a by, sorry, if I divide fx by x minus a, I know the remainder is fa. But now, if x minus a is a factor, according to the definition of a factor, this fa is equal to 0. So that's what we get from factor theorem. So if x minus 1 is a factor, then I can say f1 is equal to 0. Same drill. Here the remainder was f1. In this case, that remainder is equal to 0. So how did I get this one? Same story. The x value such that this divisor is equal to 0. If x plus 2 is a factor, then I can write f minus 2 is equal to 0. If I consider 3x plus 1 to be a factor, then this remainder f minus 1 over 3 becomes 0. So this is what the main two things that we have discussed for the past 2 days, and we also discussed about long division method, the division algorithm. But those things you will understand when we are doing problems today itself. Okay, so write a question. So newcomers, just check how many pages that you have to leave, and leave that number of pages, and write this question. Write a question. Write this: fx is equal to 2x cube plus 3x squared minus 4x, plus mx plus 7. Fx is equal to 2x cube, 3x squared plus mx plus 7. Okay, find m, comma, Roman number 1. Find m, comma, Roman number 1. If x minus 1 is a factor, if x minus 1 is a factor, Roman number 2, if the remainder is minus 16, when divided by x plus 1. The question is on the board. Roman number 2, if the remainder is minus 16 when divided by x plus 1. Remainder is minus 16 when divided by x plus 1. Okay, find m in both instances. Okay, so first one, if x minus 1 is a factor that we are supposed to find m, so what can you write if x minus 1 is a factor? So what is the data that you know? X minus 1 is a factor. From factor theorem, I can say that f1 is equal to 0. Because if it is a factor, this remainder f1 will be 0. Okay, now you can substitute x equals 1. You get 2 into 1 cube, 3 into 1 squared plus m into 1 plus 7 is equal to 0. So when you simplify this, you get 2 plus 3 plus 7 plus m is equal to 0. 12 plus m is equal to 0. So m is equal to minus 12. So first thing that you get is m is equal to minus 12. If x minus 1 is a factor, then you get m is equal to minus 12. Okay, second one is they have given, question number 2, they have given when I divide this by x plus 1, The remainder is minus 16. So what is the second data? The data for the second question, it's when divided by x plus 1 divided by x plus 1, the remainder is minus 16. The remainder is minus 16. Clear? When you divide this by x plus 1, the remainder is minus 16. So this is given in English. No? So in English, they have given when we divide this by x plus 1, the remainder will be minus 16. So how can you convert this English sentence to a mathematical equation? Is that they have given when divided by x plus 1, the remainder, I know it's f minus 1. I know the remainder is f minus 1. So in this case, f minus 1 is equal to minus 16. So this is how you convert this English sentence or the phrase to a mathematical equation. The remainder when divided by x plus 1 is 16, minus 16. So you can write f, f minus 1 is equal to minus 16. Clear? Okay, then substitute minus 1, you get 2 into minus 1 cube, 3 into minus 1 squared, plus m into minus 1 plus 7 is equal to minus 16. So I have substituted x equals minus 1 cube is minus 1 square is 1, minus m plus 7 is equal to minus 16. So you get minus 2 plus 3 plus 7 minus 16. If I bring this to this side, it's plus 16 minus m taken to the other side, it's m. So this gives you the value of m is equal to 26 minus 2, it's 24. So according to the two data that they have given, if x minus 1 is a factor, m is equal to minus 12. If when divided by x plus 1, the remainder is minus 16, then m is equal to 24. Okay, hands up who got minus 12 and 24, you got the answers. Good. Okay, then, so this is one type of a question that we get from factor theorem. They have given a variable and then they are mentioning a factor and then we can find that factor. Using the variable, we can find that factor. Sorry, we can, using the factor, we can find that variable. And there is another type of question that comes under this, something like this. Look at this question. The question is in this way. So write down the question, then I'll explain it. Write down the question. So if you're a newcomer, just check how many pages that you have to leave for the past 2 days. And then you can continue from here onwards. Write the question. It's if fx equals 3x cube plus 2x squared minus 4x minus 1, if fx equals 3x cube, 2x squared minus 4x minus 1, comma, Roman number 1, show that x minus 1 is a factor, show that f minus 1 is a factor. Roman number 2, x plus 1 is not a factor. X plus 1 is not a factor. X plus 1 is not a factor. Okay, you now listen to this, I'll explain. So this is another type of question that you can get. You can now look at this. Look at this. So if you look at this, if x minus 1 is a factor, I get a data that f1 is equal to 0. So that is basically factor theorem. X minus 1 can factor එකක් නම් I get this data f1 is equal to 0. So that is directly factor theorem. තේරුණාද? ඒක තමයි factor theorem එක. But now they are asking us to show that this is a factor. ඒගොල්ලෝ දීලා නැහැ මේක factor එකක් කියලා. They haven't given that this is a factor. We have to show that this is a factor. And මට කියන්න, now tell me, if x minus 1 is a factor, what can I write using factor theorem? I need answers. If x minus 1 is a factor, what can I write using factor theorem? මොකද්ද ලියන්න පුළුවන්? F1 is equal to 0. So that is something that we can write. No? ඉතින් මට මේක කියන්නකෝ. If x minus 1 is a factor, I can write that f1 is equal to 0. Okay. Then tell me if I have to show, if I am supposed to show that x minus 1 is a factor, අරගේ අනිත් පැත්ත කරා නම් හරි නේද? If I can show that f1 is equal to 0, then I can say then x minus 1 is a factor. තේරුණා? x minus 1 factor එකක් නම් මන්ට ගන්න පුළුවන් f1 is equal to 0. That is clear. Same thing, if I'm supposed to show that x minus 1 is a factor, what can I do? I can show that f1 is equal to 0. එහෙනම් මොකද්ද කරන්න ඕනේ? ඔයාට x minus 1 කියන්නේ factor එකක් කියලා පෙන්වන්න තියෙනවා නම් if you are supposed to show that this is a factor, I consider f1. I consider f1. So x equals 1. If you substitute x equals 1, I get f1. It's equal to 3 into 1 cube, 2 into 1 squared, minus 4 into 1 minus 1. And then you get it's 3 plus 2 minus 4 minus 1. f1 is equal to 5 minus 1. It's 0. So you have shown that f1 is equal to 0. You have shown that f1 is equal to 0. I know if x minus 1 is a factor, we get that expression f1 is equal to 0. So here we have shown, we have proved that x1 is equal to 0, which means you can say that x minus 1 is a factor. You can say like this is actually another part of the factor theorem, but before going to that part, I just want you to understand this logically. So after this, we'll be discussing the converse of the factor theorem. So this is actually the converse of factor theorem. But I want you to logically understand the concept behind this. If x minus 1 is a factor, f1 becomes 0. So if I can show that f1 is equal to 0, that means I can write that x minus 1 is a factor. Then I can write that x minus 1 is a factor. Hands up if that one is clear. Okay, now tell me, in the next one, you are supposed to show that x plus 1 is not a factor. You forget about not a factor. Now tell me if you are supposed to show that x plus 1 is a factor. මට කියන x plus 1 factor එකක් කියලා පෙන්වන්න තිබ්බනම් මොකද කරන්නේ? What will you do? If you are supposed to show that x plus 1 is a factor, what should you do? You have to show f minus 1 is equal to what? 0. You have to show f minus 1 is equal to 0. And then they are asking you to show that it is not a factor. And a factor එකක් නෙමෙයි කියලා පෙන්වන්න. What you are supposed to do? You have to show that f minus 1 is not equal to 0. Clear? අරක factor එකක් කියලා පෙන්වන්න ඔයා පෙන්වන්න f1 is equal to 0 නම් if you are supposed to show that it is not a factor, you have to show that it is not equal to 0. So this is basically the converse of factor theorem. මම ඒක වෙනම converse එක කියලා දෙන්නම්. But what I want you to understood here is something that logical. X minus 1 factor එකක් නම් f1 equals 0. So if I can show that, I can say x minus 1 is a factor. Same thing, then consider f minus 1. So if you want f minus 1, it's put x equals minus 1. Part on f minus 1 නම් දාන්න x equals minus 1. And then you get f minus 1, it's equal to 3 into minus 1 cubed, 2 into minus 1 squared, minus 4 into minus 1 minus 1. 3 into minus 1, 2 into 1 plus 4 minus 1. Minus 3 plus 2 plus 4 minus 1. What's the answer that you are getting? The answer you are getting it's 6 minus 4, which is 2. So it's not equal to 0. No? අපි දන්නා ෆැක්ට් එකක් කියලා පෙන්වන්න නම් ඔයා පෙන්වන්න ඕනේ this is equal to 0. ඉතින් ෆැක්ට් එකක් නෙමෙයි කියලා පෙන්වන්න ඔයා පෙන්වන්න ඕනේ that is not equal to 0. And then if you now tell me if f minus 1 is equal to 0, නිදිමත ලස්සනට ඉන්න ඕනේ. I can see sleepy faces. I told you like I'm doing the class in an energetic way. මං එන energetic විදිහට I like doing classes means I like teaching. I like to speak to people. I like to teach. So I'm doing any class. The mage me keyweni class එක වුණත් මම කියන උදේ ඉඳන් keyweni class එක වුණත් I do this in a very energetic way, enthusiastic way. And I expect the same energy from the students. Okay, නිකන් හිතන්න මම full අර දැන් energetic විදියට මම මෙතන කියලා මෙහෙම දැන් මේකෙන් එන rough විදියට මම අහනවා okay if minus 1 is equal to 0 what can you say? And then when I look at you, he's a vector. එහෙම කියන්න බෑ. නිදිමත ඉන්න බෑ. Okay, you have to like give that energy. Energy එක තියෙන්න ඕනේ. Okay, I told you that day. You now tell me මුළු පන්තියම කෑ ගහන්න එපා. හරිද? නිකන් මම I did this previously. Now we know that if f minus 1 is equal to 0, you know x plus 1 is a factor. So if I ask you if f minus 1 is equal to 0, what can you say? Then your answer should be x plus 1 is a factor. ඕක මුළු හැමෝම නිකන් එක normal volume එකකින් මෙන්න මේ වගේ volume එකකින්. That's all. මේ volume එකකින් හැමෝම කියනකොට everyone when I say 1 2 3 tell me x plus 1 is a factor. ඒ volume එක ඇති. මෙච්චරයි. X plus 1. Yeah, just do that. Okay, tell me if f minus 1 is equal to 0, what can you say? So that is the energy I need. ඔහොම කෑ ගහන්න ඕනේ නැහැ හැමෝම. It's a collective effort. පොඩි effort එකක් දෙන්න. අර ඉස්කෝලේම ස්පෙල් එකක් දාද්දි අර මැද ඉන්න එක තනියෙන් කෑ ගහනවා. ලොකු සද්දයක් එන්නේ අර හැමෝම එහෙම කෑ ගහන්නේ නැහනේ. That doesn't happen. හරිද? ඒ නිසා පොඩියට නිකන් හැමෝම පොඩි effort එකක් දෙන්න. හැබැයි effort එක දෙන්න දැනගන්න ඕනේ. aliens ලා වගේ ඉන්න බෑ. ගිය සතියේ මේක කරා මතකයි ෆැක්ටර් තියෙනවා මගේ කරා. If you are newcomer that is okay. newcomer කෙනෙක් දිහා බලලා මම ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහුවාම don't එහෙම කියන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. If you are newcomer you don't know it. පොඩ පොඩ gradually let's learn. Okay, so if f minus 1 is equal to 0, what can you say? X plus 1 is a factor. But this is not equal to 0. අරකෙම opposite එක කියන්න. This is not equal to 0, which means x plus 1 is not a factor. Clear? So if you are supposed to show that x plus 1 is a factor, that you have to show this is equal to 0. Same thing, if you are supposed to show that this is not equal to 0, sorry, it's not a factor, show that it's not equal to 0. Okay. Write in this way, put a star mark in a red pen and write in a normal pen. Put a star mark in a red pen and write in a normal pen. Write this. Okay, silence, silence. The factor theorem can be used. The factor theorem, silence, can be used to check whether the factor theorem can be used to check whether a term can be used to show that a term is a factor or not a factor. Is a factor or not a factor. Not a factor in a of a polynomial. Of a polynomial. Of a polynomial. Okay, then do this example. To this example, the question you have already written it, and then do this too. For now, just share the tute. I'll give the tute. Soon we get it for the newcomers and the students who don't have the tute. For now, just share the tute. Make sure like every two at least have one tute. There are like 5, 6 students missing the tute. For now, just share it, and I'll give the tute in a while. Okay, do this. So this is the way that how you can show it's whether it is a factor or not a. Silence, 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 silence. Okay, so if you're done, do question number 9 in page number 3 under mixed questions. Do question number 9 in page number 3 under mixed questions. Silence, silence, silence. Do question number 9 in page number 3, mixed questions. Again, mention in newcomers, try to just try to get at least something that I'm trying to explain. But for now, that's okay. You can follow with the board, but others ever do it alone. No? I don't expect like the newcomers will perfectly understood everything, but try to understand like anything you can. So it will be easier when you are covering the initial parts. Okay, question number 9. First thing, we have to name the polynomial. If they haven't given a fx, we have to name the polynomial. So when you name the polynomial as fx, we have to show that x plus 1 is a factor. So if x plus 1 is a factor, I need to substitute x equals minus 1 and show that f minus 1 is 0. Again, x plus 1 factor එකක් කියලා පෙන්නන්න x equals minus 1 දාලා f minus 1 is equal to 0 කියලා පෙන්නන්න. So that is what I have to do. A minus 1 cube 9 times minus 1 squared plus 13 minus 1 plus 5. Minus 1 cube is minus 1, 9, a minus 13 plus 5. So it's 14 minus 14, which means you get f minus 1 is equal to 0. Then you can write x plus 1 is a factor. Then you can write that x plus 1 is a factor. Since f minus 1 is equal to 0, you can write x plus 1 is a factor. Clear? Okay, next one, we have to show that x minus 1 is not a factor. Same drill, same format. Go with x equals 1. And then you get f1 is equal to 1 plus 1 cube, 9 into 1 squared, 13 into 1 plus 5. So f1 is equal to 1 plus 9 plus 13 plus 5. So whatever the value you get, that's okay. It like you only have to show that it is not equal to 0. So we don't have to consider about the value. F1 is equal to 28. That's okay. But what you can say is it's not equal to 0. Since it's not equal to 0, then you can write that x minus 1 is not a factor. X minus 1 is not a factor. Clear? Okay, hands up who got this. X plus 1 is a factor and x minus 1 is not a factor. Clear? Okay. Then do question number 10. Next question, question number 10. In that one, the polynomial should be x cube plus 2x squared. It's not 32. In question number 10, the polynomial should be x cube and 2x squared. It's not 32. It's not 32 plus ax plus b. Hands up who didn't get the tute? The polynomials. Okay, so in question number 10, what is the data that they have given? They have given this fx and asking that find ab such that this is divisible by x plus 2 and x plus 4. So last week I told you, what is the meaning of this is divisible by x plus 2? That means they are telling us x plus 2 is a divisible by 2. Divisible by x plus 2, which means it's a factor. So that is the data. Because last week we discussed if it is divisible, that means it's a factor. So we have plus ax plus b. And what is the data that they have given is x plus 2 is a factor. Divisible by means it's a factor. So x plus 2 is a factor. I is a factor. So what can you write using factor theorem? So what can you write using factor theorem? You can write that f minus 2 is equal to 0. That is factor theorem. F minus 2 is equal to 0. So when you consider f minus 2 cube plus 2 into minus 2 squared plus a into minus 2 plus b is equal to 0. Then you get minus 8 plus 2 into 4 minus 2a plus b is equal to 0. So it's minus 8 plus 8. This is equal to 0. So you get one simultaneous equation minus 2a plus b is equal to 0. So this is one simultaneous equation. The other data is it's divisible by x plus 4. So divisible by means it's a factor. So that means x plus 4 is a factor. Always keep in mind divisible by x plus 4 means that's a factor. Got it? So that is a factor. So if it is a factor, what can you write? If x plus 4 is a factor, what can you write using factor theorem? Same thing, we are repeating the same thing. What can we write? F minus 4 is equal to 0. Clear? So what can I write? I can write that f minus 4 is equal to 0. Done. Okay, then consider f minus 4. It's minus 4 cube plus 2 times minus 4 squared plus a into minus 4 plus b is equal to 0. Okay, then it is a matter of simplification after writing this. 4 cube is 64. Since it's minus 64. 2 into minus 4 squared is 2 into plus 16 minus 4a plus b is equal to 0. So it's minus 64 plus 32 minus 4a plus b is equal to 0. When you simplify this, minus 32 minus 4a plus b is equal to 0. So I get minus 4a plus b is equal to 32. So this is the second equation that I get. And I'm supposed to find a and b. Then you can subtract these two. 2 minus 1. Minus 4a plus b minus minus 2a plus b is equal to 32 minus 0. Minus 4a plus b minus minus becomes plus 2a minus b is 32. So when you simplify, minus 2a is 32, which means a is equal to minus 16. So I'm getting the value of a, which is equal to minus 16. Consider the first one. The first equation, minus 2a, which is minus 2 into minus 16, plus b is equal to 0. 32 plus b is equal to 0. Then I get b is equal to minus 32. So like what we learn from factor theorem is only writing these two mathematical equations. F minus 2 is equal to 0. F minus 4 is equal to 0. Then it is a matter of simplification and you should get the answers. A equals minus 16 and B equals minus 32. Okay, hands up who got these two ones. Good. Okay, I'll give 1 minute, like complete the work. So if you're a newcomer, that is okay. Yeah? Like it's okay. Like if you feel like rocket science, that is totally okay. We can, you will be okay by next week. We can catch up the things. For now, just try to at least understood one thing, one point that I'll be explaining today. Okay, now listen. No silence. Hey. Yeah, I can't individually pinpoint. I'm taking a can bala silence, 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 silence. This is a grade. You're supposed to be a grade 12 class, no? The පොඩ්ඩගේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉස්කෝලේ ඉන්න ලොකුමය. Grade 13 ඉන්න උන් ඉස්කෝලේ ඉන්නේ. And so you'll be the most senior one. You can't be like දෙගමානෙල් තුනරලිය තුන රෝස එක දම් ඕම ඉන්න බෑ. You are proper grade 12 classes. Okay. So previously I told you, like I mentioned about this converse of this factor theorem. Okay, now tell me hands up who have heard this word converse before? Who have heard that word? So even though you are a newcomer, you should have heard that. Okay, where you have heard the word converse? In O-level maths. In O-level maths. So what is the main theorem that you can remember if you are talking about the converse of the midpoint theorem? That is something that you can remember. No? So what is a converse is simply like this. So let's say the theorem, now everyone can understand this one. Huh? If the theorem says if A equals B, then B equals C. Okay, now let's say this is the theorem. So what is the theorem? If A equals B, then B equals C. Which means this is the data. This is the data. So they have given a data, and then if that data is satisfied, is fulfilled, we get a result. So if A is equal to B, then B equals C. So converse means simply the opposite, which means the result and the data interchange. So when I'm talking about converse of the theorem, it's the opposite. When I consider the converse, so converse means this data and result interchange each other. Which means if A equals B, then B equals C. Then what should be the converse of it? මොකක්ද converse එක? If B equals C, then A equals B. That is the converse. If B equals C, then A equals B. අර data එකයි result එකයි මාරු වෙච්ච එක. So that is simply what we refer as the converse. So when the result and the data of a theorem interchange, we call it as the converse of that theorem. We call it as the converse of a theorem. So for example, like if I say, if I get late, no, sorry, if I miss the train, I might get late. Okay, so that is a theorem. Theorem, COChem theorem. Okay, if I miss the train, I might get late. So if I'm late, that means I have missed the train. So that is how we say about a converse. So if this happens, this happens. If this one has happened, that means the other way has happened. Okay, so here, this is in general, you can write what is the converse of a theorem. You can write in this way, in a red pen write note, and in front of that using a black pen write converse of a theorem. Note in a red pen and in a black pen, converse of a theorem. Converse of a theorem. Converse of a theorem. And under that, write in this way. Write in this way. So converse of a theorem like this. When the data and the result, of a theorem interchange, when the data and the result of a theorem interchange, we consider it as the converse of the theorem. We consider it as the converse of the theorem. Converse of the theorem. Okay, then write this one. If the theorem in this way, same way, if theorem is A equals B, then B equals C. The converse is if B equals C, then A equals B. Write this one. The theorem and the converse. Okay. The theorem is if A equals B, and then B equals C. The converse gives you that if B equals C, then A equals B. The result and the data interchange. Okay. Okay. Then write this converse of the factor theorem. 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 Okay. Okay, now tell me what is the factor theorem first? Okay, tell me what is the factor theorem? If x minus a is a factor, if x minus a is a factor of what? Of fx, then fa equals 0. So what is the data? The data is if x minus a is a factor is the data. What is the result? Fa is equal to 0. So every theorem consists of a data and a result. So here what is the data? Data ka mukadda if x minus a is a factor. What is the result? Fa equals 0. And now I'm talking about the converse of the factor theorem, which means the data and the result interchanged. So if you interchange the data and the result, what do you get if the factor theorem is if x minus a is a factor, fa is equal to 0, then what can you say when you're talking about the converse? If fa equals 0, then x minus a is a factor. Clear? So that is what we consider as the converse of the factor theorem. If fa equals 0, then x minus a is a factor of fx. Clear? Is a factor of fx. Okay, that's why if you can remember, previously when we were doing this question number 9, I told you, if you are supposed to show that x minus 1 is a factor, what did I do? I showed that f1 equals 0. If you can show that f1 equals 0, that means you can say that x minus 1 is a factor. ඒක තමයි කරේ. මම කරා මට logically හිතන්න ඕනේ. හැබැයි converse එකක් තියෙනවා. So if f2 equals 0, this side tell me, corner side, I need answers. If f2 equals 0, what can you say? F2 equals 0. X minus 2 is a factor. If f minus 1 is 0, what can you say? වැඩියෙන් ඉන්න එක සද්ද වැඩියෙන් ඕනේ. F නිදිමතේ නෑ. F minus 1 equals 0, what can you say? X plus 1 is a factor. Not x plus 1 is 0. X plus 1 is a factor. Okay, if f3 is equal to 0, what can you say? F3 is equal to 0. X minus 3 is it's not 0, it's a factor. X minus 3 is a factor. Clear? Okay, so then converse of the factor theorem, write in quoted commas, 6699, 6699. Put 66 and write this. If fa equals 0, if fa equals 0, x minus a is a factor of fx. X minus a is a factor of fx. And then close the quoted commas and put a small dash. Like same way we wrote the remainder theorem and the factor theorem, write converse of factor theorem. Close the quoted commas and write converse of factor theorem. Okay. Okay, now let's see. If we have a data, the same thing, same drill, fa is equal to 0, then what can you say about the factor? What is the factor? It's x minus a. If f1 is equal to 0, you told me that the factor is x minus 1. If f minus 2 is equal to 0, what is the factor? That is x plus 2. So from where do we get this factor? The reverse of what we did previously. Here x is minus 2. No? Here x is minus 2. X is minus 2. So x is equal to minus 2. If you take this minus 2 here, you get x plus 2. This is what becomes the factor. Clear? X equals minus 2. If you take this to this side, x plus 2 is equal to 0, which means x plus 2 is the factor. Clear? Hands up if this one is clear, if this one is clear. Okay, now tell me, like think and tell me, if f half is equal to 0, if f half is equal to 0, now what can you say about the factor? Who is the factor? X minus half. So that is what we directly get. X equals half, which means x minus half is equal to 0. So what is the factor? The factor is x plus half. So x minus half is the factor. But now just recall your memory. අපිට remainder theorem කරද්දි කලින් අපිට f half කියලා remainder එකක් ආවා. When we were doing remainder theorem, we got a remainder as f half, no? But we got that remainder when divided by which divisor? අපි මෙහෙම එකක් කොහෙවත් හම්බුන්නේ නැහැ නේ. We didn't get something like x minus half. We got this remainder when we divided the polynomial by who? Who? 2x minus 1. Can remember? It is same thing in this one. What happens if you multiply this by 2? What happens if you multiply this by 2? It's 2x. This becomes minus 1. 0 multiplied by 2, it's 0. Then you get 2x minus 1. So if f half is equal to 0, you can either say that x minus half is a factor, or there's another way that you can say that factor. What is that? 2x minus 1 is a factor. So both is accepted. If f half equals 0, there are two ways that you can say either x minus half is the factor or 2x minus 1 is the factor. Clear? Okay, now tell me the entire class. If f minus 1 over 3 is equal to 0, you can say one factor. Tell me this side. What is one factor? What? Okay. You are telling one factor is 3x plus 1. 3x plus 1. Okay, now tell me what is the other factor? X plus 1 over 3. Clear? So what is the other factor? It's x plus 1 over 3. But normally we don't write these factors. When we get fractions, it's ugly. We don't write them. So this is normally how we keep the factors. 2x minus 1, 3x plus 1. But I wrote this to show it is correct. If someone write it, it's correct. So how did I get it? Same drill. X equals minus 1 over 3. So what is the factor? X plus 1 over 3 is the factor. When you multiply by 3, you get 3x plus 1. So given this data, you can get the factors of a polynomial. Okay, hands up if that part is clear. Good. Okay, then write this data and the factor. And if you're not clear about these two, you can just write this rough work somewhere near the table. Silence. කතා කරන්න බෑ මට විනාඩියෙන් විනාඩි කියන්න බෑ silence කියලා. Make sure that I don't like to repeat it during the class, especially when it is a 2027 class. So එකපාරක් කිව්වා මැති මුළු class එකටම. I can't repeatedly say that okay silence, okay silence, okay silence. Okay, so this is the data that we can get. And there are like a special name that we give to these factors. If the degree of the factor is like, let's say your factor is something like x plus 1, or your factor is something like 2x minus 1, where the degree is 1. So what is the degree? So degree is the highest power of this one. So here even the highest power is 1. Here even the highest power is 1. So here the degree is 1. So when your degree is 1, in your factor, if the degree is 1, we give a special name for it. We name them as linear factors. So we give a special name, it's linear factors. So if the degree of a factor is 1, we name them as linear factors. And if the degree is 2, like let's say I'll take example, I'm having a factor like x squared plus x minus 1. So this is my factor. The degree is 2. So I told you what is the degree? Degree is the highest power. The highest power is 2. Okay, tell me, what is the name that you had in O levels? If this equation was equal to 0, what is the name that you gave to this equation? It was a lesson, if you can remember. What? Quadratic equation. So quadratic is based on the square. So when the degree is 2, which means we are having x squared, we term that factor as quadratic factor. We term this as quadratic factor. We term this as quadratic factor. Okay. Like you have to, when you are coming from O levels to A levels, there are certain stuff that you have to bring. අරන් එන්න ඕන සමහර දේවල් තියෙනවා. I told this before no. මම කිව්වනේ I told. ලක්ෂපතිගේ කතාවත් මම කිව්වනේ මතකනේ. කිව්වේ නැද්ද මම ලක්ෂපතිගේ කතාව කිව්වේ නැද්ද? කිව්වනේ. කිව්ව කිව්ව නෑ කිව්වනේ. I can remember I told you the story. දැන් ගුත්තිලකාවේ කතාව මම කිව්වනේ ඒක. I can remember I'm telling the same one in the story because if I tell something I remember it. So that's why I told you අර මට ගුත්තිලකාවේ දාලා ආවට කමක් නෑ. මම හැමදාම කියන වගේ මේකේ බුවන එක බාහුව විජේ බාහුව දාලා ආවට අවුලක් නෑ. ෂාජහන්ව දාලා ආවට කමක් නෑ. But you have to bring some basic math. Maths ටික පොඩ්ඩක් අරන් එන්න ඕනේ. මොකද මම දන්නවා I didn't ask about the midpoint theorem. Midpoint theorem ඇහුවාම මේකේ භාගයට මතක නෑ. ඒකයි I didn't ask that. I know if I ask you to okay, tell what is the midpoint theorem, half of the class can't remember. Okay, so that's why I didn't ask you. So you have to bring some stuff. Huh? So we had a lesson in O levels named quadratic equations. So quadratic is that we use when we have the square. So next one, if the degree is 3, we have the cube, no x cube. No. So that one we write as cubic factor. Linear factor, quadratic factor. Let's say we are having something like x cube, degree එක 3 වෙච්ච ඒවා. So we call it as a cubic factor. So it's a special name, nothing new, nothing like any special case. It's just a name. So when the factors are having a first degree one, it's linear factor. If it is a second degree, we name it as a quadratic factor. Okay. Just write this. Factors can be named. Factors can be named as below. Factors can be named as below based on their degrees. Based on their degrees. Based on their degrees. Based on their degrees. Okay, then just write degree 1, x plus 1, 2x minus 1. These are first degrees. We call them as linear factors. If it is degree 2, x squared plus x minus 1, we name them as quadratic factors. We name them as a quadratic factor. Because we need these names when I'm giving the next one. Okay. Okay, now focus properly. The main part that we'll be doing today, and even newcomers can understand this part. Everyone. Newcomer can no excuse, everyone focus and hang in. I'll give you 1 minute. Take water, drink some water. 1 minute. Now you can talk. I'll give 1 minute, drink some water, and talk everything that you have to talk. Okay, now listen. Yeah? Okay, now listen. Okay, now listen properly. I'm again mentioning I can't pinpoint each other and ask you to remain silent. Okay, so when I give time, I'll give you 1 minute to drink some water and talk. And at the end of like every 1 hour I do that, and I can't expect like look at each other. Okay, silence, 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 silence. Okay, now focus. Make a hurry up it's good. Okay, so here I need to factorize this one. So I need to factorize this expression. It's a cubic one. So if I ask you to factorize something like this, I gotta make a deal factorize factorize this one. This is a quadratic one. So if I ask you to factorize this one you can easily do it. And then you can write the factors. You will write x minus 2 and x plus 1. You can write the two factors. No? You can directly write the two factors. That one you can do. But when it comes to a expression with a degree greater than 2, when it comes to an expression with a degree greater than 2, then make a degree ka 3. So here the degree is 3. No? You can't just directly factorize it. You can't directly factorize it. Okay? So what I want here is to apply the converse of factor theorem, and I need you to somehow find a linear factor. So that is what I want you to do. Apply the converse of factor theorem and somehow try to find a linear factor of this one. Linear factor ka. So how can we do it? You know, according to the converse of the factor theorem, if you get something fx is equal to 0, then you can derive a factor. What? f1 equals 0, you can say x minus 1 is a factor. If you get f minus 1 is equal to 0, then you can tell me, okay, sir, then x plus 1 is a factor. So that is the converse of the factor theorem. Okay, so what I do here, I substitute values to this polynomial. So starting from x equals 1. So if you put x equals 1, you get 1 cube, 5 into 1 squared, 8 into 1 plus 4. Then I get 1 plus 5 plus 8 plus 4, which is 18, but there's no any use of this because it's not equal to 0. What I want, like you don't have to write that it is not equal to 0. I'm trying to find out a x value. Okay, try to understand. I'm trying to find an x value such that fx is equal to 0. මට ඕනේ fx equals 0 වෙන මොන හරි x value එකක්. So I tried putting x equals 1. So I got f1 is equal to 80. No use of this. මේක වැඩක් නැහැ. මට ඕනේ 0 වෙන එකනේ. But if you look at this now, you can even write x equals 2, x equals 3. You can put values. But if you just look at this, all the terms here is positive. No, මේ ඔක්කොම terms positive. No. All terms are positive. එතකොට මේකට මම positive numbers ම දැම්මොත් කවදාකවත් මේක 0 වෙනවද? If I keep substituting positive numbers, will this be 0 for any number? No, all are positive. So I don't get positive, I don't get 0. So now you realize if I keep putting positive numbers, keep substituting positive numbers, I won't get 0. එහෙනම් මොන numbers වලටද හැරෙන්නේ? මොන numbers වලටද හැරෙන්න ඕනේ? I need to change into negative numbers. Okay, you can keep substituting x equals 2 3 100 දාන්න කමක් නැහැ. But you don't get 0. And then I'm changing, I'm turning into negative numbers. I'm taking x equals minus 1. So when you write x equals minus 1, f minus 1 is equal to minus 1 cube, 5 into minus 1 squared, 8 into minus 1 plus 4. Minus 1 cube is minus 1. Minus 1 squared is plus 1, minus 8 plus 4. And I do get minus 1 minus 8 is minus 9. 5 plus 4 is 9. Then I got someone which is 0. I get f minus 1 is equal to 0. So I told you my target is to completely factorize this. But as the first step, just find me one linear factor. But a linear factor හොයලා දෙන්න. Okay. If you want to find a linear factor, you have to find the x value such that fx is equal to 0. ඒ කියන්නේ අර substitute කරාම බිඳුව වෙන කෙනෙක් හොයාගන්න ඕනේ. Okay, you got x is equal to minus 1. So you got f minus 1 equals 0. Now tell me the entire class නිදිමත නැහැ කියන්න. If f minus 1 is equal to 0, what does the converse of the factor theorem state? X plus 1 is a factor. Good. Okay, you get x plus 1 is a factor. So this is your step number 1. Finding one linear factor. I got that x plus 1 is a factor. Okay, I'll repeat that into question number 2. So we haven't completely factorized this, only the first step. Palawani step එක විතරයි. Same thing you can substitute. I'll substitute x equals 1. Okay. If you can realize later x equals 1 දැම්මට හරියන්නේ නැහැ කියලා පේනවා නම් දාන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. For now just I'll write x equals 1. So when I put x equals 1, I get f1 is equal to 1 cube, 4 into 1 square, 2 into 1 minus 1, which gives you 1 plus 4 plus 2 minus 1, which is 6. Same story. 6 out of I don't know. I don't consider about these values. I only want 0. Not only 0 වෙන කෙනෙක් විතරයි. අර මම මේකේ පොඩි logic එකක් කිව්වා නේද? There's no use of keep substituting positive answers. Because when we keep substituting positive answers, there's no any use. No use because all are positive answers. But in this case, question number 2, in this case, same thing. Now look, if I keep substituting positive answers, this entire part will be positive. No. මේ ඔක්කොම positive නේ. ඉතින් මට කියන්නේ මෙතනින් එන ලොකු positive එකට මේ -1 cancel වෙලා 0 වෙන්න පුළුවන්ද? Not possible. Like this entire part is positive. So for this entire positive one, මෙන්න මේ -1 විතරක් කැපිලා බිඳුව වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක වෙන්නේ නැහැ. So there's no any use of substituting positive ones. So if there's no any use, I'm turning into the negative ones. Okay, now if you put x equals -1, and then f equals -1, f minus 1 is equal to -1 cube, 4 into -1 squared, 2 into -1, -1. -1 cube is -1. -1 squared is +1. -2 -1, you get -4 plus 4, which is 0. Okay. I only care when I get 0. එහෙම නැත්නම් වැඩක් නැහැ. I only consider when I get 0. F minus 1 is equal to 0. What does the converse of factor theorem state? X plus 1 is a factor. Okay, so step 1 is done. X plus 1 is a factor. Okay, then I'll give the note. When I am supposed to factorize a polynomial with a degree greater than 2, we have to apply the converse of factor theorem and find one linear factor. ඉතුරු ටික මම කියලා දෙන්නම්. First find one linear factor. Okay, write in this way. When factorizing a polynomial with a degree greater than 2, with a degree greater than 2, we have to apply the converse of factor theorem. We have to apply the converse of factor theorem. Which means first we have to find a linear factor. First we have to find a linear factor using the converse. Okay, next line. For this purpose, we have to find a x value. For this purpose, we have to find a x value such that fx equals 0. Such that fx equals 0. Okay, so we are in question number 4, main question 4 under factor theorem, and question number 1. Okay, take this one and get this one, get that x plus 1 is a factor. For now, don't do that one. Don't do the second one, only this one. Remain silent and do the work. Pay attention on what you are writing, what you are simplifying, and do it properly. Don't copy paste the board. Just take this as fx. I just substitute x equals 1 and I just realize it won't work. Then I substituted x equals -1, which is equal to 0. Only this one, only question number 1. Don't do the second one, just right up to here. So you get x plus 1 is a factor. Okay, so that is the first step, that you need to find the x value such that this is equal to 0. Okay. Okay, now tell me this one. I'm asking from this side. I'm telling you that 9 is a factor of 72. 9 is a factor of 72. It is a factor. So if I ask you like, okay, if I tell you 9 is a factor of 72 and I'm asking another factor, what is the first factor that comes to your mind? It's 8. But 1 is a factor of 72, 2 is a factor, 3 is a factor, 4 is a factor, 6 is a factor, 8 is a factor, 9, 12, 18, 36, all these are factors. But when I ask them, 9 is a factor, what is the other factor that came to their mind? It's 8. And if I ask you, 7 is a factor of 28, 7 is a factor of 28, and I'll ask you, okay, what is the other factor that comes to your mind? Can you just lift your hand like who didn't get the tute? I'll give the tute that the question, the page that we are doing today. You will get the proper tute next week. For now, you can just use this one. Okay. Okay, now tell me. Okay, answer. Answer. Like I'm telling you, 7 is a factor of 28. It's a factor. 7 is a factor. So what is the other factor that comes to your mind? It's 4. 4 comes to your mind. 1 is a factor, 2 is a factor, 4 is a 7, 14. All are factors of 28. But when I refer to 7 is a factor, what is the other factor that comes to your mind? You say it's 4. Okay, same thing. We got, what again? 48. 8 is a factor of 48. 8 is a factor of 48. So if I ask you what is the other factor that comes to your mind, what is the other factor? It's 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12, 8, 24, all these are factors of 48. But when I'm talking about 8 is one factor, what is the other factor? You told me it's 6. Okay, now tell me, how did you get 8 as the other factor? When I told you 9 is one factor, how did you get 8 as the other factor? You divided 72 by 9 and you got 8. How did you get 4 as the other factor when I told you 7 is a factor of 28? How did you get the other one? You divided 28 by 7. Same drill, you divided 48 by 8. So when we know one factor, okay, now look at this. When we know one factor, how can you get the other factor? You can divide fx by the factor that we already know. You can divide fx. What is the other factor? Other factor හම්බෙන්නේ කොහොමද මේ ඉන්න එක්කෙනා බෙදන්න? You have to divide this. What is the other factor? It's fx divided by x plus 1. So if you want to find the other factor, you have to divide fx by x plus 1 using a division method. So far, what is the division method? We know it's the long division. අපි එකකින් කරමු දැන්ට. So then, if you divide, okay, newcomers even look at this, how to do long division. It's easier. You can get the understanding from this one. Making alagan lazy. So this is how you do the longer division. Listen. Okay. Pay attention. Okay. So how can you do this? X cube is divided by x. So every time we divide the highest power, this by this. X cube divided by x, the answer is x squared. When you divide x cube by x, the answer is x squared. But when you're multiplying, then number you have to multiply both. X squared into x is x cube. X squared into 1 is x squared. Now subtract, these two cancel off. 5 minus 1 is 4x squared, and you take 8x and 4 down. 5 minus 1 is 4. And now 4x squared divided by x. 4x squared divided by x, you get 4x. When you multiply, it's 4x squared plus 4x. Okay, these two cancel off. 8x minus 4x is 4x. Plus this comes down 4. So when you divide 4x by x, you are getting 4. Okay, now multiply, it's 4x plus 4. So it's 0. So you get the remainder as 0. Okay, now tell me, why did you get the remainder as 0? Why did you get the remainder as 0? Because we have divided fx by x plus 1, which is a factor. So when we divide someone by a factor, the remainder should be 0. Remainder is 0 එක ආපු එක wow නෙමෙයි. ආවේ නැත්තම් තමයි wow. Because if you divide it by a factor, you are supposed to get 0. ආවේ නැත්තම් තමයි වාගේ division එක කොහේ හරි වැරදි. So you can check whether the division is correct if you get 0. Okay, then I can write what are the two factors. Fx is equal, this is one factor, x plus 1. Here's the other factor, x squared plus 4x plus 4. Main අපි දන්න කෙනෙක්. This is someone we know. a quadratic one. This one you can factorize. ඒක factorize කරන්න ඔයාට මේම ඕනේ නැහැ. Factor theorem ඕනේ නැහැ. You can factorize this one. It's a normal quadratic one. So you get plus 2 and plus 2. So you can write the complete factorization of fx. It's x plus 1 times x plus 1, x plus 2 squared. So this is the complete factorization of fx. X plus 1 into x plus 1, x plus 2 squared. Okay, hands up if this part is clear. Okay, so after taking one linear factor, to get the other linear factor, you have to divide it using a division method of polynomials. Okay, write in this way. After this one, write in this way. After finding one linear factor, after finding one linear factor, the other factor can be found. The other factor can be found using a division method. The other factor can be found using a division method. Using a division method. Okay, so in this case, so far what we only know is long division. Then after we'll be talking about comparing coefficients. For now, what I want you to do, then write this. Other factor is equal to fx over x plus 1. Take the division and write the other factor. Okay, other factor is equal fx over x plus 1. Use the long division method. So even a newcomer now can do the long division. And you're supposed to get 0. And then here it's the other factor. This is the other factor. X squared plus 4x plus 4. Okay, so same thing like in this one, question number 2. After taking one factor, you can take the other factor when you divide this. When you divide fx by x plus 1, then you can get this. It's x squared. When you multiply, make sure you multiply by both x cubed plus x squared. Subtract 4 minus 1 is 3x squared. These two come down, 2x minus 1. 3x squared divided by x, it's 3x. When you multiply, 3x squared plus 3x. Okay, simplify, when you subtract 2x minus 3, 2 minus 3 is minus 1. A minus x divided by x, it's minus 1. So when you multiply, it's minus x minus 1, which is 0. You're supposed to get 0. So here, what are the two factors? Fx is equal to x plus 1 and x squared plus 3x minus 1. So if you can't furthermore factorize this quadratic one, just keep in that way. Make it a factorize කරන්න බෑනු. Or make කරන්න බෑ. So since you can't factorize this, just keep it, leave it at that stage. So these are the two factors, x plus 1, x squared plus 2x minus 1. Clear? Okay. Then don't look at the board. Do මෙහෙමයි. දැන් මම කරන්න කිව්වා මෙන්න මේකයි කරන්න ඕනේ. Now listen about this. Now මේක අහන්නකෝ. හොඳට අහගන්න. මට මොනේ I just want to reduce your time when you are doing this work. මුල ඉඳන්ම. නැත්තම් දිගට කරන්න දීලා අපි පස්සේ අඩු කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. අපි මෙහෙම හිතමුකෝ now someone is thinking so here now paper එකේ මේක කරනවා. Okay. So you have substituted x equals minus 1 and you have taken its 0. And then you can write it's a factor. So let's say you are getting 5 marks for this step. Make it a 5 marks හම්බුණා කියන්නු. And what happens if they give 5 marks for this step even? If you substitute x equals 1 and they are giving you 5 marks. Whether x equals 2 substitute කරාම you are getting another 5 marks. X equals 3 substitute කරාම you are getting another 5 marks. ඉතින් ඕක කළාම paper එකේ ලකුණු 100ක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. You can keep substitute x equals 1, 2, 3, 4 කර කර පහ ගන්න පුළුවන්. Okay, so keep in mind you won't get marks for these ones. මේවා ලකුණු හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ. You get only marks for getting the correct one that is 0. මේවට විතරයි හම්බෙන්නේ. Fair enough no. මේකට දුන්නොත් එහෙම මේකෙන්ම 100ක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. 100 නෙමෙයි 105 110 ගන්නත් පුළුවන්. So you won't be getting marks for this one. So I don't expect you to write this one. මොකද කරන්න ඕනේ? Take a rough paper. හරිද? නැත්නම් take the last page of your book. පොඩක් බලන්න මුලින්ම දාලා 0 වෙන්නේ මොනවාද කියලා. 1 වලදී 0 වෙන්නේ නැහැ, 2 වලදී වෙන්නේ නැහැ, -1 වලදී වෙනවා නම් පොතේ ලියන්න only this part. Okay, so this is only what you have to write. Clear? So you don't have to write these ones from here after when I ask you to do the questions. Only write the values that become 0. Okay, do in the same set of questions. Question number 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10. Mark them. Question number 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10. 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10. Do by alone the kata karanda bhai. If there's anything unclear, you can ask from me when I come. Huh? I told you only write the steps that become 0. Only write the steps that become 0. If there's anything unclear, you can ask me. If you didn't get this long division method, even that one, you can ask. So every newcomer, like you try to understand at least the long division, at least one step after this one will be discussing about comparing coefficients. ඒකට කලින් knowledge එකක් ඕනේ නැහැ. So try to understand at least one point. It must lazy වැඩේ කරන්න. I'll talk to you at the end of the class and I'll tell you what is supposed to do, what you should do. For now, if there's anything unclear, you can ask me. Okay, keep doing the work. So here, you can see if you put x equals 1, you get 0. So I'm substituting x equals 1. I get f1 is equal to 4 minus 3 minus 1, which is 0. Okay, then if f1 is equal to 0, then I can't talk. Nothing to discuss. If there's anything unclear, you can look at the board. And don't make me repeat it. f1 equals 0, then I can write x minus 1 is a factor. So that is what we can write from the converse of factor theorem. And to find the other factor, what I can do is I can divide 4x cube minus 3x square minus 1 by x minus 1. Okay, so when you divide this, it's okay, here the division is a bit different because of this coefficient change. Look at this, 4x cube divided by x, it's 4x squared. When you multiply, it's 4x cube minus 4x squared. So basically what you do here, you subtract this from this. So 4x cube cancel off and minus 3 minus 4 gives you plus 4. So minus 3 plus 4 is plus 1. So it's plus x squared. Got it? So minus 3 minus 4 is plus 4. Minus 3 plus 4 gives you plus 1. So here the coefficient is plus 1, but we are not writing plus 1. X squared divided by x, it's plus x. When you multiply x squared minus x, so here, a bit different one. There's no any x to be subtracted from the top one. So it's 0 minus x gives you plus x. 0 minus x gives you plus x. And minus 1 directly comes down. X divided by x, it's plus 1. And when you multiply, it's x minus 1. So it becomes 0. You're supposed to get 0. Clear? You're supposed to get 0. So what are the two factors that you can write of this one? Fx is equal to x minus 1. And the other one is 4x squared plus x plus 1. So keep this in this format. If you can see that the quadratic equation factorize, okay, then you can factorize it. If not, එහෙමම තියන්න. Factors පේන්නේ නැත්නම් එහෙමම තියන්න. If you can't factorize. Okay, question number 5. We can do this when you put x equals 2. I see a factor f2. What is f2? 2 cube, 6 into 2 squared plus 5 into 2 plus 6. Okay, now look at this. I see when I was just walking around, So things that you need to slowly like improve. And. We can do. So I asked you to use this rough paper or the behind of your book and find a value that makes this zero. So it is rough work. So when I'm just walking, I see some of the rough papers, samahara ke rough papers mehemai. X equals 1, F1 equals 1 cube minus 6 into 1 squared plus 6, 1 minus 6 plus 5 plus 6. F1 is 6. Do you call this a rough paper? Make මෙහෙම කරන්න ඕනේ නෑ. So when you need to check whether it becomes 0 no. එහෙනම් මෙච්චරයි. X equals 1 දැම්මහම 1 minus 6 plus 5 plus 6. You realize it is not 0. එතනින් පස්සේ ඊළඟ එකට යන්න. Okay, there should be a difference between your book and the rough paper. නැත්නම් no difference අපරාධ. හරි නිසා rough paper එක නිකන් දාලා බලන්න value 0 එනවද කියලා. That's all. You don't have to simplify it till the last step. Just substitute and or බලුවාම තේරෙනවා whether it is 0 or not. Okay, so here it's 8 minus 6 into 4 plus 10 plus 6, which is 24 plus 16. No, so I get here it's 24. 8, 10, 6 is 24 minus 24. So I get F2 is equal to 0. So when F2 is equal to 0, then I can say that x minus 2 is a factor. X minus 2 is a factor. Find the other factor by dividing x cube minus 6x squared 5x plus 6. You have to divide this by the factor x minus 2. So here it's x squared, x cube minus 2x squared. When you subtract minus 6, minus 2 is plus 2, minus 6 plus 2 is minus 4. And then minus 4x squared divided by x is minus 4x. Minus 4x squared plus 8x. When you simplify, 5 minus 8 is minus 3 plus 6. Minus 3x divided by x, it's minus 3. Multiply, it's minus 3x plus 6, which is 0. So then what are the two factors that you can get? One factor is x minus 2. The other factor, x squared minus x minus 3. If you can factorize this furthermore, do that. But here, you can't factorize. Okay, hands up who got these two factors for question number 3 and 5. These two factors. You got it? Okay, good. Okay, so here, silence. So here I can clearly say when I put x equals 1, it becomes 0. No? It becomes 0. So F1 is, I know that I can see it becomes 0. That's why I'm substituting 2 into 1, 5 into 1 plus 6. It's 7 minus 7, it's 0. So F1 is 0. Then you can say that x minus 1 is a factor. So when x minus 1 is a factor, you can get the other factor by dividing. Okay, divide x cube minus 2x squared minus 5x plus 6. It's x minus 2. Sorry, 1. Okay, now divide it. X squared, multiply x cube minus x squared. Minus 2 minus minus is plus. So minus 2 plus 1 is minus x squared. No? Minus 2 plus 1 is minus 1. Minus 5x plus 6. Minus x squared divided by x, it's minus x. When you multiply, minus x squared plus x. So minus x squared minus cancel off. Minus 5 minus 1 is minus 6. Minus 6 divided by x, it's minus 6. When you multiply, minus 6x plus 6, it's 0. And then what are the two factors? It's fx equals x minus 1 times x squared minus x minus 6. If you can further factorize the quadratic factor, do it. So what are the two factors here? X minus 3 and x plus 2. What are the two factors here? X minus 3 and x plus 2. Okay, now look at this. Hands up who got this answer. Question number 6. X minus 1, x minus 3 and x plus 2. Hands up who got that? Okay, now tell me. Look at this. Out of the ones who got the answer, hands up if you got x minus 1 as the first factor. Okay, පළවෙනි factor එක x minus 1 ගත්තා නම් hands up. Hands up if you got x minus 3 as the first factor. There are two. Hands up if you got x plus 2 as the first factor. Okay, so that is what I wanted to show you. Remember, if you realize, look at this, x minus 1 is a factor, you get the other two factors x minus 3 and x plus 2. No? Someone sees when you put x equals 3, it becomes 0. X equals 1, it can happen. So he sees that x minus 3 is a factor. If first factor x minus 3, that is okay. Because then he will get these two factors. These two factors. If someone gets x plus 2 as the first factor, after the division and when you factorize, you get these two factors. And මුලින් හම්බෙන්නේ මොන factor කියන එක impact එකක් නෑ. There's no any change. You can either get x minus 1 as the first one, x minus 3 as the first one, or x plus 2 as the first one. But make sure your final answer should be the same one. If your first factor is x minus 1, then you are supposed to get these two factors as the two other factors. If your first factor is x minus 3, you are supposed to get these two factors as the next one. If your first factor is x plus 2, you are supposed to get x minus 3 and x minus 1 as the factors. Clear? So it can be anything as the first one. The final answer should be the same. Okay, last one, question number 10. So here, what can we get? It's x equals minus 3, no? Minus 3. So then f minus 3 is minus 3 cube plus minus 3. Plus 30 minus 3 cube is minus 27 minus 3. So it's minus 30 plus 30. I get f minus 3 is equal to 0. If f minus 3 is equal to 0, you can say that x plus 3 is a factor. You get x plus 3 is a factor. Clear? So if you get x plus 3 as a factor, so what is the other factor? X cube plus x plus 30 should be divided by x plus 3. X squared divided by x, it's x, cube divided by x, it's x squared. When you multiply x cube plus x squared, again, a different thing, but we have discussed this. There's no any x squared terms here to get subtracted. So 0 minus x squared is minus x squared. Because there's no any x squared to be get subtracted. Minus x squared divided by x, it's minus x. Multiply minus x squared minus 3x. X minus minus 3x is plus 3x. X plus 3x is 4x. X plus 3x is 4x. 4x wait, I made a mistake. It's 3x 30 comes down. X squared divided by x is minus 3x. Where did I go wrong? It's 3x squared. Here it's 3x squared when you multiply this. So it's minus 3x squared and these two comes down. So here minus 3x squared divided by x is minus 3x. which gives you minus 3x squared minus 9x. These two cancel off. X minus minus is plus x plus. So 1 plus 9 is 10. 10x divided by x is plus 10. When you multiply, it's 10x plus 30. So these two cancel off. It's 0. It should be 0. So what are the two factors? One factor is x plus 3 and the other factor is x squared minus 3x plus 10. So what is the other factor? It's x squared minus 3x plus 10. If you can factorize that quadratic factor, do it. If not, you can leave it at the x squared minus 3x plus 10. Okay, complete the book. Okay, write the next topic. Silence. Write the next topic. Comparing coefficients. Comparing coefficients to find the other factor. Comparing coefficients to find the other factor. Comparing coefficients to find the other factor. Okay, you now listen this. Listen properly. Yeah? So this is the next main thing. You have to pay 100% attention. If not, you won't be able to understand this. Lazy. From here onwards, you don't have to use this long division method. If you can remember, when we were talking about polynomial division, I told you there are three main ways in our syllabus. First one is what we were working so far. It's the long division of polynomials. Second one, I told you there used to be a method called synthetic division, but that is not in the syllabus. Then you might be thinking, if it is not in the syllabus, why would I have give it? Syllabus එකේ නැති එකක් syllabus එකේ නැහැ කියලා දෙන්න ඕනේ නෑනේ. එහෙම කිව්වොත් එමේ syllabus එකේ නැති හැම එකක්ම අපිට මේක නෑ කියලා දෙන්න බෑ. The reason I'm giving it because I have noticed in some of the schools, not schools actually, but in some of the classes, they do synthetic division. So let's say in like when a student is comparing the class and he might think, okay, this did synthetic division, but this didn't do synthetic division. So there's something a vacuum in some of the parts. Because of that is the reason what I told you, there used to be a division called synthetic division, but it is not in the syllabus anymore. If you use that in your paper, you won't get marks. You'll get 0 marks. Okay? Syllabus එකේ නැති හැම එකක්ම මම දෙන්නේ නැහැ මේක syllabus එකේ නැහැ syllabus එකේ නැහැ කියලා. But some things that used to be the syllabus දැන් අයින් කරපේවා I will highlight them. And the third method was this comparing coefficients. මතකනේ ලිව්වා 1 2 3 කියලා ලිව්වා. Third one was comparing coefficients. So now pay attention. මේක කරා ඊට පස්සේ interval එක දෙන්න. නිදිමත ඉන්න බෑ. Straight way කොන්ද කියන දේ. කොහොමත් කාලයක් යද්දී you might be in this way. ඒ නිසා දැන් මෙහෙම ඉන්න. Okay. Okay, now pay attention. Andra balakinda. No sleepy phases, no. Okay, no sleepy phases, huh? Okay, make it. So this is what we do here. First thing is what I have is a quadratic expression. Sorry, I have a cubic expression. So I have a cubic expression. The methods well, I have a cubic expression. And I know I have taken one linear factor. So I need to factorize this. So I need to factorize this cubic expression. Now I'm just limiting to cubic, but at the last day of the lesson, I'll be even doing when the degree is 4. So here, the degree is 3. No? And I know the degree of a linear factor. Why do we call it as a linear one? Because the degree is 1. You can now tell me if the degree we need is 3, the degree of the linear factor is 1, then the next one, whatever we are considering, the degree should be 2. No? Because we need a third degree one. Here the degree is 1. So we need a degree 3. So the next one, whatever factor we are writing, it should be a second degree one. So what is the second degree one? It is a quadratic factor. No? So it's a quadratic factor. මෙන්න මේක තමයි අපි use කරන්නේ මෙන්න මේ comparing coefficients method decay. Here the degree is 2. Here the degree is 2. Okay, now I'm supposed to factorize this one. Using the previous method, you have to find one factor. ඒක කරන්න ඕනේ. Using the converse of factor theorem, you have to find one factor. And now you know the degree here is 3. The degree here is 1. So the degree of this factor should be second degree. No? We call it a quadratic. No? Can you remember we wrote these general polynomials? General polynomials ලියුව මතකද? First degree general polynomial එක ax plus b. What is the second degree general polynomial? ax squared bx. දැන් කියද්දි මතක් වෙන්න ඕන plus c. What is the third degree general polynomial? ax cube bx squared cx d. Clear? So we know the general polynomial. So I know the degree of this factor is 2, which means it takes the format of x square ax squared bx plus c. Again, මෙතන ලියන එක්කෙනාගේ format එක ax squared bx plus c. That is clear. Okay, I'm writing here it should be x squared, x and a constant. But I don't know the coefficients. ax squared plus bx plus c. I don't know the coefficients, so I'm just writing there we got a x squared, we have x and we have a constant. Okay, so even here the degree is 3, here the degree is 1, so I'm just writing x squared, x and there's a constant. And now what is my task is to find these coefficients. The coefficients then we know we have the two factors. Okay, hands up if this is clear up to this part. Okay. Okay, now look at this. I'm going to make here known, okay? Pen and side starting from this side, here, then again this side, this side, this side. You have to repeat. When we multiply these two terms, what do I get? Corner one. This one, these two terms, what do I get? X cube. When I multiply these two terms, what do I get? X squared. So here there's a constant. When I multiply these two x into these constant, what do I get? X. It's x. Again, if I multiply this into this, what do I get? X squared. Again, I multiply this into this, what do I get? X. Well, entire class, if I multiply this and this, what do I get? Constant. If you realize, there was only one place that I got x cube. X cube හම්බෙච්ච එක තමයි තිබ්බේ. What is that? X into x squared. And constant එක හම්බෙච්චත් එක තමයි තිබ්බේ. There's only one place I got a constant. Constant into the constant. So that is the only place I got a constant. Now tell me, if the coefficient of x cube is here is 1, so what is the only place we got x cube? It's this into this. The coefficient we require is 1. Then here it's 1. This one should be, what should be the coefficient even here? It should be 1. So I know the coefficient of this one is 1. But normally, we are not writing a coefficient. අපි 1 කියන coefficient එක ලියන්නේ නැහැ. It's not wrong, but we don't write it. ඒ කියන්නේ 2x කියලා ලිව්වට අපි 1x කියලා ලියන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක වැරදි නෙමෙයි. ඒක ලියන්නේ නැහැ. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ලියන්නේ නැහැ. වැරදි කියන්න බෑ. 1x එක හරිනේ කෙනෙක්ට ගන්න පුළුවන් 1x එක ලියන්න බැරිද? 2x ලියන නම් why can't we write 1x? But normally we don't write it. අර එහෙම දේවල් තියෙනවානේ. අපි හිතමු නිකන් උස එක්කෙනෙක්ගෙන් අපි අහනවා වගේ උස කීයද කියලා. ඌ කොච්චර කොට වුණත් අහන්නේ නැහැ නේ වගේ කොට කීයද කියලා අහන්නේ නැහැ. That we don't ask, no. Like, even though he is very short, we don't ask how tall are you? What's your height? We don't ask how short are you? එහෙම අහන්නේ නැහැ. අහන එක වැරදිද? නෑ ඒක හරි. උස කීයද 6යි. කොට කීයද 4යි 9යි. It's correct. Like, it's not wrong. It's correct. Ethically පොඩ්ඩක් අවුල්. හරිද? කොටයි දිහා බලන්න එපා. හරිද? Ethically පොඩ්ඩක් අවුල්. That is the only reason. That is correct, but ethically it's wrong. Okay, so here we don't write 1x. It is correct, but normally we don't write it. Hare. So here, now I know the coefficient of this one is here, 1. So that one is done. So I need to find, okay, now listen. I need to find 3 coefficients. So what are the 3 coefficients? This and this one. 1 has been found. And then I'm moving on to the constant. Because I know there's only one place that I get the constant. There's only one place that I get the constant, that is this constant into this one. Okay, if I want plus 4, How do I get plus 4? It's plus 1 into, it's plus 1 into, how do I get plus 4? It's plus 4. So here the constant becomes plus 4. That you can do. Clear? Okay, so I have taken this coefficient and this coefficient. Only missing one is the coefficient of x. Okay, now the easy part is over because we only got one x cube and we only got one constant. No. And they then take another coefficient. I'm taking the coefficient of x squared. It's plus 1. I told you the easy part is over because when you consider x squared, there are two places that you can see you get x squared. x squared හම්බෙන තැන් දෙකක් තියෙනවා. So we have to consider both. කලින් ලේසි එකයි හම්බුනේ. Now we have to consider both. Okay, when you multiply these two, already the coefficient is plus 1. No? Already the coefficient is plus 1. Now tell me, you want plus 5. You only got plus 1. How many more do you want? You only have plus 5. You want plus 5. You only got plus 1. How many more do you want? Plus 4. So we need to have plus 4. So then, if you want to get plus 4 from these two, it should be x into, tell me, what is the coefficient here? Tell me, what is the coefficient here? It's plus 4. Then you can directly factorize this in this way and then write the two factors of the quadratic x plus 2 and x plus 2. It's x plus 1 times x plus 2 squared. Clear? I'll explain it again. Now you might think, sir, make a කිව්වට එහෙම lazy නෑනේ. It is even a lengthier process नु. වෙලා යනවනේ කියලා. It takes time because I was explaining this and doing it. No. I was explaining you to do this. If you ask me to, okay, sir, how can you factorize this? In this way, I'll just write the factors as x squared plus 3x minus 1. And that is the factorization. You can write it in that way. I took time because I'm explaining and writing. And even when I ask you to write this, you will write this. I'm sure. You will write this. Same thing. Okay, what is the same thing in this way? We got x squared, we got x, okay, listen, and we got a constant. The coefficient of x cube is 1, which means this is x into 1. It's 1, it's clear. Let's say we have 2 here. Then here it's x into what should be the coefficient here? What should be the coefficient? It's 2. Okay, it's 1. Then move on to the constant. Minus 1. How do you get a minus 1? It's plus 1 into minus 1. Okay, next one. Consider the x square. So here, I want plus 4. There are two places that you get plus 4. It's this one and this one. So already, when you multiply these two, I have plus 1. If I are supposed to have plus 4, but I only got plus 1, how much more do you want to make plus 4? It's plus 3. Plus 3. And then, if you want to get plus 3 from this into this, the coefficient should be plus 3. So these are the two factors. This one you can't furthermore factorize. Okay, so that is how you can do that. So I want you to repeat the same set of questions 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10. And you can use these previous factors that you have taken that you can use directly. Okay, so write it this way. Write it this way. When we factorize a cubic expression, when we factorize a cubic expression, initially, we get a linear factor. We get a linear factor and a quadratic factor. Initially, we get a linear factor and a quadratic factor. Okay. Then write this in the middle of the book. Cubic expression is equal to the linear factor into quadratic factor. And show that the degree is 3, degree is 1, and degree is 2. Degree is 3, 1, and 2. cubic expression is equal to linear factor into quadratic factor. So degree is 3, degree is 1 and degree is 2. Okay. Then after that write this. Based on this, we can write the quadratic factor. Based on this, we can write the quadratic factor by comparing coefficients. We can write the quadratic factor by comparing coefficients. Comparing coefficients. Okay. Then I won't be giving a note that explaining compare x cube constant that you can understand. Okay, do these 6 questions. Try to do it alone. So same set of questions. The factor I have taken from the previous one, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10. So write the factors, then you might realize you can just directly write it. It won't take that much of time. Silence. කතා තියෙන බෑ ලස්සනට පාඩු වැඩේ කරන්න. Okay, then look at this one. So how you can do it? It's first write x squared. If you couldn't understand, like try to understand from this one. Write x squared, x and a constant. But here you can see the coefficient is 4. So if it is 4, to get 4, I need x into, then this one should be 4. So there is a 4 here. And then the constant you need is -1. How can you get -1? It's -1 into +1 that gives you -1. And then here the coefficient of x squared is -3. So there are 2 places that you get x squared, this and this. Okay, this coefficient it's -4. So you already got -4. You're supposed to have -3, but you already got -4, which means to make it -3, you need a +1. Okay, then only it becomes -3. Okay, then x into this x, you want +1. So what is the coefficient here? It's +1. So you don't write 1. It's plus x. You can't furthermore factorize that. You get 4x squared plus x plus 1. Okay, this one, x squared and x and constant. X cube is 1, so it's the same. Constant is 6. How can you get a 6? It's -2 into -3. -2 into -3 is which becomes x. Okay, then consider the coefficient of x squared. It's -6. So when you consider the coefficient of x squared -6, but here it is clear. You get x squared from 2 places. You already got a -2. So to have -6, you already got -2. -4 is required. -4 is required. Then to get -4, it's x into -4. You need this coefficient of x into -4. Clear? Okay. Then do the remaining 2, 6, and 10. Okay, question number 6. X minus 1 is one factor. We got x squared and x. So here x cube is the coefficient 1. So this one should be 1. To get +6, you want -1 into -6. To get a +6, it should be -1 into -6. And then compare a coefficient x squared, it's -2. From this one, you already got a -1, and there's another place that you get x squared. So here it's -1. Since you want -2, this is -1, and then you want another -1. Okay, so you want another -1. So x into this gives you -1 if this is -1. That one you can see you can factorize it furthermore as x minus 3 and x plus 2. You are getting the same answers that you got before. Okay, now look at this one. Same drill, x squared, x and the constant. So here, x cube is 1, so the coefficient here is 1. The constant is 30, so how do you get 30? It's 3 into plus 10. So now, there are two ways that you can do it. If you consider the coefficient of x squared, there's no any x squared here. So I have told you if there's no any x squared, what is the coefficient? It's, if there's no x squared, what is the coefficient? It's 0. Clear? If there's no x squared, what is the coefficient? Is 0. So you are getting x squared in two places, this one and this one. And here it's plus 3, So you want 0, you want a 0 coefficient. So if you want a 0 coefficient, if you already got plus 3, you have to cancel it. The other one should be minus 3. Clear? The other one should be minus 3. And then to get a minus 3, it should be x into minus 3. X into minus. So this is one way that you can take it. The other way is like this. The first step is no change. X squared, the coefficient is 1. And the constant become 10. It's the same. But you don't have to worry about the මෙතන නැති එක්කෙනෙක් ගැන හිතන්න ඕනෙත් නෑ. You don't have to worry about someone who is not here. තියෙන x की coefficient එක ගන්නකෝ. තියෙන x की coefficient එක 1. නැති x squared ගැන හිතන්න ඕනේ නෑ. තියෙන x की ගන්නකෝ. So now look at the places that you are getting x. There are two places you are getting x. One is x into 10. And the other one is this plus 3 into this x. So there are two places. Are calling x squared ගත්තා වගේ there are two places you get x. Okay, now it is clear. X into 10 is plus 10. You already got plus 10. Not own ekai. You only want 1. But you already got 10. So then, to get 1, you need minus 1. 10, 1 karan, you should put minus 9. There should be minus 9. And then, this 3 into here should be minus 9. This 3 into the number, the coefficient here should be minus 9. 3 into the coefficient here should be minus 9. Tell me 3 into what gives you minus 9 is minus 3. So same factor, you can see the same factor. You can either take it by the x squared who is not here, considering the coefficient is 0, or the x who is there, considering the coefficient is plus 1. Okay, hands up who understood this comparing coefficients method, this method. Okay, now tell me honestly, if you think this comparing coefficient method is more convenient than longer division, hands up if you are telling this is more convenient and easy. Okay, hands up if you are telling no, longer division is more convenient. So what about others? None of them is convenient. You don't want combined maths. Tell me. Hands up if you are telling this is more convenient. Make it lazy. Make it lazy. Hands up if you are telling longer division is more convenient. Okay, so that is okay. You have the freedom. I'm not restricting you to any of these methods. You have the freedom to either use longer division or comparing coefficients that you can do. I prefer if you do in this way because it takes less time, but that doesn't mean that I am forcing you to do it. You have the freedom to do it in any method you like. Okay, take a break and come by 5:50. Okay, write the topic. Write the topic. Using factor theorem. Using factor theorem to solve equations. Using factor theorem to solve equations. Using factor theorem to solve equations. Okay. Okay. So here now, if I ask you to solve this quadratic equation, if you can remember for O-level maths, like there were how many methods that you used to O-level, not the first 2 days of the class. How many methods there were to solve this quadratic equation, if you can remember? Phone should be silent and change that ringing tone. Okay, okay, now listen. Okay, when we are supposed to keep the phone silent, if not, it's a burden. Okay, now listen. Silence, silence, done. So, if you are supposed to solve this quadratic equation, tell me how many methods that you use in O levels? How many methods that you use in O levels? Hands up if you can remember at least one method to solve this. Okay, two methods? No one. Few. Three methods? Four methods? Okay, so only three methods. So what are the three methods? One basic method is factorizing this. So you can factorize this, and if you can write this as the product of two or like let's say more factors, if a product becomes zero, I know I can consider that each product, each term is zero. Silence, okay, now pay attention. X minus 2 is 0, x plus 1 is 0, which means x equals 2 or x equals minus 1. So this is the basic method that we do it. If you can remember, there were two other ways. One way was this using the equation minus b plus o minus, can remember? Square root that story. And the other one is completing squares. If you complete squares, you can even get the answers. Okay, so completing squares and the using that equation is quite similar, because if you can remember, you derive that equation using completing squares. But that is okay for now. What I want is this factorization. So here under question number 2, I have just given this question, sorry, question number 5. They have given solve the following equations using the factor theorem or in general way. So what do I expect here is like I'll only be doing 3 questions to give you understanding, so you can do the remaining stuff as homework. Now look at this. So I'll take this one. They have given to solve this equation. And then I'll take another one. Equation number 3, x4 minus x squared equals 0. And then I'll do this second one, x cube 7x squared plus 11x minus 5 is equal to 0. Okay, now look at this properly. So what is the question? Solve the following equations using the factor theorem or in a general way. So this is the basic method that we can solve an equation. If we can convert it into a product of factors, then we can write each term is equal to 0. Clear? This one you know. So here, now I want you to factorize this. Tell me what is the golden rule, the first main thing of factorizing. You have to check whether there are, in factorizing, there are common factors. The main thing of factorizing, check whether there are common factors. You can see a common factor here. What is the common factor? X. Okay, take out x. Then you got x squared, 3x plus 2. Okay, this is a quadratic one. Quadratic one, you know how to factorize. It's x plus 1 and x plus 2. So I told you, if you can write this as a product of factors, you can make each term equal 0 or x plus 1 equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0. So here it's x equals minus 1 and this is x equals minus 2. Clear? X equals minus 1 and x equals minus 2. So why your intention is to write this as a product. Same thing. Same thing. So that's why I told you, like, you don't have to use factor theorem whenever you see an expression. There might be instances that you might have to use factor theorem. This one, what is the common term here? X squared. Take out x squared out. When you pull out x squared minus 1. Okay, now tell me, what is x squared minus 1? Quite familiar. What is it? Difference of 2 squares. So we got x minus 1, pay attention, and x plus 1. When the product is equal to 0, each term you can consider it's equal to 0 or x plus 1 equals 0. So when x squared is equal to 0, I get x equals 0, x equals 1, or x equals minus 1. So that one is clear. So up to this one, it's clear. When we have an equation, If it is a normal quadratic equation, you can factorize or use any other method, but the basic is the factorizing method. And if you find like these ones, then you can factorize and take the answer. Okay, hands up if this is clear up to this. Okay, nothing new, just factorize and took the answers. But now when it comes to here, now you can't directly factorize this. It's a cube. No? When it is a quadratic, you can factorize. But when it is a cube, cubic expression, can you factorize this directly? Make a power factorize කරන්න පුළුවන්ද බෑ. And this is where you need the knowledge of factor theorem. අර අපි factor theorem එකේ මෙච්චරලා කරේ මෙන්න මේ වගේ හිටපු කට්ටියව factorize කරපේකනේ. මෙච්චරලා අපි කරේ all the questions 1 2 3 5 6 all the questions what we did we factorize these kind of polynomials. I use you and that knowledge and factorize this. Use your knowledge and factorize this. I'll just write the factors. Even you write it. You don't have to do it from the beginning. But what I want to say, array factorize karanne using the knowledge that what we just gained. Clear? So one factor you can write is x minus 1 and the other factor is x squared minus 6x plus 5 is equal to 0. So you can factorize in this way using factor theorem. ඒක තමයි මෙච්චරලා කියලා දුන්නේ. Okay, so this one I just wrote the answer. So how did you get this one? It's because using factor theorem. Now when I ask you to do this, you don't have to write it. But when you're supposed to solve this in an exam, then you have to take this polynomial separately. Put values for x, 0 when value එකක් හොයාගන්න, find the linear factor, divide it or compare coefficients, get the quadratic factor, and then you can completely factorize it. Okay, when you completely factorize it, x minus 1, it's x minus 5. Which gives you x minus 1 squared times x minus 5. This is equal to 0 or x minus 5 is equal to 0. This gives you, if you consider the square root, the square root of 0 is 0. So x is equal to 1 is one answer. Or here the other answer is x equals 5. Clear? So it's basically factorizing. But in case if you can't just factorize it, you might have to apply the factor theorem, what you have been doing so far. Hands up if this is clear. Okay, the topic is using factor theorem to solve equations. Under that, write in this way. When we are supposed to solve an equation with one variable, when we are supposed to solve an equation with one variable, the basic method is factorizing the expression. The basic method is factorizing the expression. And getting the solutions and finding the solutions. Factorizing the expression and finding the solutions. So that is the basic method. Okay. So first take this example, this one, and then do 1 and 3. First do this example and do the first one and the third one. First one and the third one. First this example and the first one and the third one. And a reminder that students who have joined online, I just noticed I mentioned we changed the class fee from April to May. So I reduce it by 1,000. It's not 6,000 anymore. It's 5,000. So I saw few online payments of 6,000. So make sure if you are doing the payment from next month, it's 5,000. Okay, in the site, I think it's still showing as 6,000, but it's 5,000. Students who are like, who have joined the class online, so let you know, let your parents know it's 5,000, no, not 6,000. Okay, on this one, the first one and the third one. Don't write the second one. So it's basic factorizing. Don't do question number 2. Wait, there's a small note to be given. Do 1 and 3 only. Okay, then after writing 1 and 3, write this. Put a star mark, a red star mark, and write in a normal pen. Put a red star mark and write in a normal pen. For the purpose of factorizing, for the purpose of, for the purpose of factorizing some of the expressions, for the purpose of factorizing some of the expressions, we might have to use, factor theorem. We might have to use factor theorem. Okay, then do this one. So I have applied factor theorem. So that's how I got this answer. For now, write it directly. But I told you if I give this question, if I give this as a question, you have to go from the beginning of the process. You have to factorize this, find one linear factor, get the other one, factorize. You have to come from the beginning. And then after writing it as a product of factors, you can consider each factor is equal to 0. You can consider each factor is equal to 0. Okay, then come to the tute in mixed exercises. Do question 6, 7, and 8. Page number 3, mixed questions. Do question number 6, 7, and 8. Questions 6, 7, and 8. When you're finding the other factor, you have the freedom to use comparing coefficients or longer division method. It's up to you. You can do which is convenient for you. To 6, 7, and 8. If there's anything unclear, you can ask. තනියෙන් වැඩේ කරන්න මොනවාරි unclear දෙයක් තියෙනවා නම් මගෙන් අහන්න. So I told you, like, if they haven't named the polynomial, have the habit of naming it as fx and then do the work. First name the polynomial. Mix exercises, question number 6, 7, and 8, not the questions under question number 5. Mix exercises are there, 6, 7, and 8. So first one, question number 6, we need to factorize this. 10x cube minus x squared minus 33x plus 18. They have already given one factor, that is 2x minus 3. Then you have to find the other factor. So here the degree is 3. So here it's 1. It should be a quadratic factor, which means x squared, x and the coefficient. And if I want, if you look at the x cube, it's 10. So which two numbers give you 10? It's 2 into 5. So this one should be 5. And when you look at the constant, it's 18, which gives you plus 18. It's minus 3 into minus 6. It's minus 3 into minus 6. And then consider the x squared. If you consider the x squared, you can see the coefficient is minus 1. So here, there are two places that we have x squared, this one and this one. Places they got the මෙතනින් හම්බෙන්නේ minus 15. If I want minus 7, I already got minus 15. The minus 15 කොහොමද minus 1 කරන්නේ? I need to have this plus 14. I need to have this plus 14. Okay, then which gives you 14. 14 hambenne kohomada? Here it's 2. So 2 into plus 7 gives you plus 14. So if you have taken that other factor, it's okay. But if you closely look at this quadratic factor, this get factorized again. ඕක ගත්තනම් මට ඇති දැන් අපි ඉගෙන ගත්ත එකකින් ඕක ගත්තා නම් ඇති but you can factorize this quadratic one again. So how can you factorize it? You want to have minus 30 and make it a 7, so it's 10x minus 3x. So you can factorize it again. Okay, so if you take 5x out, it's x plus 2. If you take minus 3 out, it's x plus 2. Okay, now pull out x plus 2, then you get x plus 2 and 5x minus 3. So I have two factors. Clear? Okay, question number 7, we are supposed to show that x minus 1 is a factor. They haven't named the polynomial. If they haven't named, I told you to get a, like put it a name it as fx. It's x cube minus 2x squared minus x plus 2. First I'm supposed to show that x minus 1 is a factor. If you want to show x minus 1 is a factor, consider x equals 1. When you consider x equals 1 is f1 becomes 1 minus 2 minus 1 plus 2. So this cancel off, it's 0. f1 is equal to 0. So what do you have? It's f1 which is equal to 0. That means if f1 is equal to 0, then you can say that x minus 1 is a factor. X minus 1 is a factor. Clear? Okay. And then we need to completely factorize it. So we got one factor. What is that one factor? It's x minus 1. What is that one factor? It's x minus 1. So then I need a quadratic factor x squared, x and a constant. So the cube is 1, the coefficient, this one should be 1. The constant is plus 2, which brings you plus 2 is minus 1 into minus 2. Minus 1 into minus 2. The coefficient of x squared is minus 2. I already got a minus 1. Then minus 1 කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා. Then from the other one, you need another minus because you want to have minus 2, then minus 1 innawa. It is clear. X into this one, you should have minus 1. So it's minus 1. And then you can completely factorize it. It's x minus 1. When you factorize this, it's x minus 2 and x plus 1. So you have to get the other two factors. Fx is equal to x minus 1, x minus 2, and x plus 1. Okay. Hands up who got question number 7, x minus 1, minus 2, and x plus 1. Hands up. Okay. Damanatha balanda. No one copy paste the board and try to do it alone. Question number 8. One factor has been given. X minus 4 is a factor that they have given, and we are supposed to find the other one. The 7th Aniyamaganda, I expected that you should have done it alone. Fx is equal x minus 1, x minus 2, minus x minus 3, and x plus 20. Okay, so next one. So they have given x minus 4 is a factor. To find the other factor, you can't keep this in this way. Can you remember in the first day of polynomials, when we were this comparing coefficients, we were doing this comparison of the coefficients, I told you, මෙහෙම එකක් තිබ්බහම පළවෙනි එක, you need to write it as a proper polynomial. That you can see the x cubed terms, x squared terms, x and the constants. මෙහෙම තිබ්බොත්, like you can't say, like you can't factorize this. So first thing is simply simplify this and write it as a proper polynomial. So x times when you multiply these two, x squared minus 3x plus 2, x squared plus 20 minus 3 is plus 17 minus 60. Plus 17 minus 60. First thing is to, you have to factorize this. You have to simplify this properly. So x cube minus 3x squared plus 2x minus x squared minus 17x plus 60. Okay, then you can simplify it. It's fx is equal x cube minus 4x squared minus 15x plus 60. Okay, now you have to first bring this to here. Well, even method again don't. If not, you can't say. You can't say, okay, this is, you can't find the other factor. Okay, then they have given one factor. They have given one factor, it's x minus 4. They are not asking to show that it's a factor, okay? We take the other factor, x squared, x and the constant. Okay. So here x cubed, the coefficient is 1, which means this becomes 1. The constant is plus 60, which gives you 60 is minus 4 into minus 15, which gives you 60 is minus 4 into minus 15. And then look at the other term. Here the coefficient is minus 4. Okay, now look at this clearly. Look at this. So I know I'm getting x squared from two places. I'm getting x squared from two places. From here, minus 4 into 1, it's minus 4. And I'm even getting x squared from here. Look at this. What is the coefficient I want of x squared? It's minus 4. No? What a minus 4? What a minus 4? Oh, no. Already I got minus 4. No? Then the minus 4. Do you understand? Minus 4, if you write anything, if you put plus 1, minus 1, it will change. But you want minus 4. No? You want minus 4, but if you write anything, minus 4 plus anything, you know this might change. Again, but I kawurut epa. The mechalla man kiwwe ka balannaku. So what did I mention? We have minus 15. I want only minus 1. So how can you turn minus 15 into minus 1? You can put plus 14. Here, you wanted minus 2. You already got minus 1. So I need another minus 1. But in this case, you want minus 4 and you already got minus 4. Again, but I kawurut epa neda. But I kawurut epa. But again, I kawurut epa. I don't want anyone. I don't want anyone again. ඒක mathematically මොකද්ද අපි denote කරන්නේ ආය කවුරුත් එපා කියන එක mathematically how we denote it? It's 0. We don't need anyone. So we already got a minus 4. So here it's minus 4 plus 0. Which means the coefficient of this one x into x should be 0. It's 0. But normally we don't write this in this way. So what are the two factors? Fx is equal to x minus 4. And this cancel off, it x squared minus 15. This cancel off, it's x squared minus 15. A good one that we did it. But you might get confused. We only want minus 4 and we already got that. And mathematically, it's 0. So it's 0. And even you can put the long division method and you will get the same one, x squared minus 15. Let's say you are putting the long division method. So x cube minus 4x squared minus 15x plus 60 divided by silence x squared x cube minus 4x squared. Okay, now here it's clear. Both of these cancel off. So it's minus 15x plus 60 minus 15x divided by x. It's minus 15. When you multiply minus 15x plus 60, it's 0. So here is the other factor. So fx is equal to x minus 4 and x squared minus 15. So you can get the answer from either methods, long division or this one. Sorry? Okay, good. Then do question number 11 and 13. So get experience from every question. Hamekem mada ganna deyak thiyena. Even this one, we didn't meet a instance, a division before where this was 0. So a good experience. You want -4, you already got -4. Ayepa. How to denote it mathematically? It's 0. To question number 11 and 13. ඒ දෙක නම් පුළුවන්. Everyone in the class should get it, especially the ones who were in the class for the last 2 weeks. Question 11 and 13. Okay, first one, when divided by x minus 1, the remainder is -8. So remainder theorem says when you divide someone by x minus 1, the remainder is f1. So that is remainder theorem. So they have given the remainder is -8, which means we can write this in a mathematical way. F1 is equal to -8. So then what is F1? 1 cube minus 1 squared plus a into 1 plus b is equal to -8. 1 minus 1 plus a plus b is equal to -8, which means I get a plus b is equal to -8. And then they have given when divided by x plus 1, the remainder is 0. Okay, now tell me if the remainder is 0, that means indirectly they are telling us that x plus 1 is a factor. Clear? The remainder is 0. When divided by x plus 1, the remainder is 0. So indirectly they are telling us that x plus 1 is a factor. Remainder is 0 means if x plus 1 is a factor. And then you can write if x plus 1 is a factor, f minus 1 is equal to 0. F minus 1. Okay, now substitute -1. -1 cube minus -1 squared a into -1 plus b is equal to 0. So when you simplify this, -1 cube is -1 minus and -1 squared is +1, but there is minus here, it's -1. A minus a plus b is equal to 0, so it's -2. So I get minus a plus b is equal to 2. So I got two equations with a and b, then you can simply add these two. When you add these two, a plus b minus a plus b is equal to -8 plus 2. A cancel off, I get 2b is -6, which means b is equal to -3. If b is equal to -3, from the first one, you can say a plus b, so b is -3 is equal to -8. A is equal to -8 plus 3. A is equal to -5. Okay, question number 11, hands up if you got a equals -5, b equals -3. Hands up, who got that answer? Okay. Like you have to make sure you should get answers. I mean, lazy that amaru api kara. Some like haven't got the answer. Don't just copy paste the board. If you couldn't get this answer, complete the work. Ilangi komari karanda. Because then we will be doing a past paper. The first ever past paper we are doing in the class. Okay. Okay, then they are asking us to factorize this. So what is fx? It's x cube minus x squared. What is a? It's -5x. B is -3. And we need to factorize this. One factor we already know. That is x plus 1. And then write that factor. You know one factor x plus 1. Then what is the other factor? X squared, x and constant. Same drill. X cubes 1 into 1. Clear? Constant is -3. How do you get -3? It's +1 into -3. It's +1 into -3. And then here you require a coefficient of -1. And there are two places that I get x squared. From here I got a +1. So it is clear you need -1. You only got a +1. How can you convert this plus 1 into minus 1? It's minus 2. That means you have to get a coefficient of minus 2. X into this x is minus 2. If you can furthermore factorize this, you can do it x plus 1, and you can factorize it. It's x plus x minus 3 and x plus 1. No? X minus 3 and x plus 1. Yeah. Then you have two x plus 1s. So you can write the factorization. It's x minus 3 into x plus 1 squared. Okay. So if you didn't get the answer for A and B, somehow get the answers for 13. Make it uttara නැත්තම් question number 13 කොහොම හරි AB ගන්නකො. So as you do question number 11 and 13, make ආවේ නැත්තම් අද කොහොම හරි ගන්න නැත්නම් අපරාධේ. Just don't come to the class and copy paste the board and go home. That is not we have to do. You have to get answers inside the class. මොකද මම හැමතිස්සෙම කියනවා මේ කාලේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ වැඩ කරන්නේ පන්තියේ විතරයි. You are only working at the class these days. You don't go home and work. No. ගෙදර ගිහලා වැඩ කරන්නේ නැහැ නේද? It's better if you can work, but you don't do that. That's okay. But make sure to get the answers inside the classroom. To question number 13, AB හොයන්න. Because next one we'll be doing a past paper. The first ever past paper in the class. Silence. ඉවරනගින්න උත්තර වෙලා තියෙන්න ඕනේ. I'm noticing you take the answer. Just a simplification. When divided by x plus 2, the remainder is minus 54. And x minus 1 is a factor. So remainder theorem and factor theorem. Get A and B. Find A and B. So first one, when divided by x plus 2, the remainder is minus 54. Now, when you divide by x plus 2, they are talking about the remainder. It's minus 54. But what I know from factor theorem is when you divide by x plus 2, the remainder is f minus 2. Which means you get a mathematical equation that f minus 2 is equal to minus 54. 2 times minus 2 cube, 3a times minus 2 squared, a times minus 2 plus b is equal to minus 54. Now simplify. 2 cube is 8, 3a into 4, a minus 2a, I have 2 a's, no? Yeah. Plus b is equal to minus 54. Minus 16, minus 12a, minus 2a plus b is equal to minus 54. If I take this to this side, the first equation, minus 14a plus b is equal to minus 54 plus 16, which is 38. Okay, first equation you get, it's minus 14a plus b is equal to minus 38. Okay, next one, what is the factor? X minus 1 is a factor. So when x minus 1 is a factor, x minus 1 is a factor. If x minus 1 is a factor, then I know according to factor theorem, f1 is 0. Okay. So then put f1 2 into 1 cube, 3a into 1 squared, a into 1 plus b is equal to 0. 2 minus 3a plus b is equal to 0. 2 I'll take to this side. Minus 2a plus b is equal to minus 2. So this is the second equation you got. Minus 2a plus b is equal to 0. Clear? Okay, then you can simplify these two. I'll subtract 2 minus 1 minus 2a plus b minus 14a plus b is equal minus 2 minus 38. Minus 2a plus b minus is plus 14a minus b minus 2 plus 38. Abhi aying 12a is equal to 36. So even though the simplification looks a bit complex, you are getting the answer that A is equal to 3. When you have one answer, then you can substitute and get the second one from the second equation. Minus 2a, a is 3, plus b is minus 2, minus 6 plus b is minus 2. B is equal to minus 2 plus 6. So I'm getting the answer b is equal to plus 4. So at the end, I'm getting the two answers that a is equal to 3, b is equal to 4. Okay, hands up who got a equals 3 and b equals 4. Good. Okay, now I told you the reason why I started this lesson before, like some of 2, 3 lessons in the syllabus. Initially, the first lesson is numbers. So there is a 2 period lesson called numbers. And then we have functions. And then only we start the polynomial functions. So I told you a reason why I selected this lesson. I need to do past papers. In numbers, you don't have past papers. Functions, you don't have past papers. So I need to do these A-level past papers and give you a confidence that you can do this exam and combine maths is nothing like rocket science. මේකේම අමාරු එකක් නෙමෙයි සාමාන්‍ය අවුරුද්දට ඒස් ගන්නවා ලංකාවෙම 2000ක් විතර ගන්නවා 2000 2500ක් විතර ඒස් ගන්නවා. ඒ කියන්නේ අමාරු නෑ නේද? ලංකාවෙම මෙච්චර ගන්නවා කියන්නේ. ලංකාවෙම දෙන්නයි නම් ගන්න ඒක අමාරුයි. If from the entire country we got only two A passes, it's hard. So this is not hard, it's a doable thing. So I need you to do this confidence. So you are going to do your first ever, හොඳ නැකතක් වෙනකන් හිටියේ. First A-level pass paper if you haven't done it in another class without my help. Okay, so I need you to find AB values when I ask you to do this question. So finding AB is sufficient, but if you can even factorize and complete the question, that is really good, perfect. But for now, I need the entire class to get AB values in the question 2013. Okay, turn to past papers, page number 9, question number 17, do 2013 A-levels. I need the entire class to find A and B. So when you're doing a past paper, do in this way. Write the year 2013 A-levels and then you can write the question number. උඩින් දාන්න year එක. 2013 A-levels. Find A and B. Silence. තනින්ග. මේක අරගෙන ගැම්මට යන්න ඕනේ. 2013 ප්‍රශ්නේ කරලා ඉන්නේ කියලා. යද්දි හම්බෙනාටත් කියන්න. කරන්න ඕනේ. හැබැයි කරන්න දු කියන්න බෑ. 2013. Find A, B. If you can completely factorize it, it's perfect. But what I expect up to your level is finding A and B. Your first data is x minus 1 is a factor. So when x minus 1 is a factor, what can you say? It's f1 is equal to 0. You can say that f1 is equal to 0. So when you put 1, it's a into 1 cube, b into 1 squared minus 11 into 1 plus 6 is equal to 0. So a plus b minus 11 plus 6 is equal to 0 and a plus b minus 5. So a plus b is equal to 5. So this is the first equation. And then the other one is about the remainder when divided by x minus 4. They have given that the remainder is minus 6. A remainder when divided by x minus 4, remainder when divided by x minus 4, it's minus 6. So then you can mathematically write it f4 is equal to minus 6. Okay. So if you simplify f4, it's a into 4 cube plus b into 4 squared minus 11 into 4 plus 6 is equal to minus 6. It's 64a plus 16b minus 44 plus 6 is equal to minus 6. So here you get a simultaneous equation. It's minus 6 A plus 44 minus 6, which means when you simplify, it's 32. But don't keep this in this way because you can see there's a simplification. 2 16s are here, 116 and 4 16s are here. So your second simultaneous equation reduces up to 4a plus b is equal to 2. So this is your second equation. Okay, now you can simplify the first one and the second one to find a and b. Okay, then subtract 2 minus 1, 4a plus b minus a plus b is equal to 2 minus 5. So 4a plus b minus a minus b is equal to minus 3. These cancel off. Then I'm getting 3a is equal to minus 3, which means a is equal to minus 1. I'm getting one answer that a is equal to minus 1. And then when you substitute to the first one, a is minus 1 plus b is equal to 5. B is equal to 1 plus 5, which means b is equal to 6. So in the 2013 question, if you have considered these two correctly, you're supposed to get a equals minus 1 and b equals 6. Hands up who got these two answers? You got it. Good. Okay, so that is good for your level. Now when you want to factorize this furthermore, look, there's a small point that you might get confused. So that's why I told you, if you have taken these answers, that's good to your level. But if someone has done a complete factorization, that's perfect. Okay, so fx is, what is a? A is minus 1. No? So minus x cube, b is 6 plus 6x squared minus 11x plus 6. Okay, now we already know a factor. That's x minus 1. Okay, then write this factor. You can even use longer division. So then you have to write this x squared, x and constant. No. Okay, here, since it's minus x cube, I want a minus 1. Now listen. Silence. I need a minus 1. So this one should be minus here because you need a minus x cube. It should be minus. And constant, you need plus 6, which gives you plus 6 is minus 1 into minus 6. Okay, then look at the term. You need 6 plus 6. So there are two places that where you get this. So here you already got a minus 1 into minus, it's plus 1. You already got a plus 1. Because minus 1 into minus 1 is plus 1. You want plus 6, you got plus 1, so you require 5 more. Clear? So this one should give you that plus. So here the constant becomes plus 5. Okay. I admit you can even take this one, but the only thing is when you have to factorize this, when there is a minus in front of the x squared, it's a bit like challenging to factorize it. If you can remember, or make a solve කරන්න දුන්නොත්, if I ask you to solve this, what is the first thing that you do? You convert this into plus. No. Normally, like you like to factorize when this term is positive. So when I ask you to factorize this one, but normally the first step what you do is you either multiply by minus 1 or take this to this side and you make this plus, this minus, and this becomes plus. Because we like to factorize a quadratic when the x squared term is positive. We like to factorize a quadratic when the x squared term is positive. For that purpose, I'm taking this minus out and it becomes x squared minus 5x plus 6. And there are two ways that you can write this. When you take this minus forward, it's minus x minus 1. When you factorize this, you get x minus 2 and x minus 3. So they're asking what are the two other linear factors. So these are the two other linear factors. So you can write other linear factors. They're asking what are the other linear factors. Linear factors. You can write one is x minus 2 and the other one is x minus 3. So this is one way that you can write this. Eka vidihak. The other way is, now let's see, after factorizing, you got fx equals x minus 1 into minus x minus 2. කොහොමත් factorize කරන්න minus එළියට ගන්න ඕනේ. If not, it's hard. Under එළියට ගත්ත minus, you can again put it inside. You took a minus out, you can again put it inside. Okay, now tell me, if we put this minus inside, what happens to x minus 2? But again, I need answers. If you put this minus inside, what happens to x minus 2? It becomes minus x plus 2, or we can change this 2 minus x. Clear? So here, I didn't put that minus again in. I'm just keeping the minus separately. So these are my two factors. But there is another way. You can take out that minus and again put it in. Okay, then fx is equal to x minus 1. If you put this in, it becomes 2 minus x minus 3. So in this case, what are the two other linear factors? So what are the two other linear factors? It's 2 minus x and x minus 3. So here in this case, it's 2 minus x and x minus 3. Again, now what I want you to do is come up to here, pull out a minus and do these both ways, because there's something that I need to highlight here. Here I have taken out the minus and the minus is kept at the beginning. In this one, I have put this minus inside and x minus 2 has been written as 2 minus x. So in that case, what are the two other linear factors? It's 2 minus x and x minus 3. Okay, write both. So everyone in the class has taken a equals minus 1, b equals 6. So you're up to your level. That's good. So anyone who did this factorization, that's perfect. Okay, do both methods. Do both ways. No, silence. Write both ways. So if you keep this in this way, the linear factors are x minus 2 and x minus 3. Silence. In this way, if you put these minus in, the linear factors are 2 minus x and x minus 3. Okay, now tell me, what make you? Okay, tell me, focus, look at the board. Everyone. Okay, look at the board. See the class is going. Again, in this case, what are the two linear factors x minus 2 and x minus 3? No. Here, what are the two linear factors? 2 minus x and x minus 3. So simply, like let's say, if this factor is, I'm telling, this factor is 2 and 3, here the factor is minus 2 and 3. ඒ වගේ එකක් නේ. අපි හිතමුකෝ මෙතන factor එක 2 කියලා, මෙතන factor එක 3 කියලා. The factors are 2 and 3. So in this case, it's minus 2 no. Okay, then remind what is a factor? What is a factor? What is a factor? What is a factor? A factor is someone, if you can divide it by without a remainder, then it is a factor. No? අර 4 වල තියෙන factors මොනවාද? 1, 2 and 4. If I divide 4 by 2, there's no any remainder. උත්තරේ දෙකයි, no remainder. No. What happens if I divide 4 by minus 2? What happens if I divide 4 by minus 2? The answer is minus 2, but what can you say about the remainder? It's 4 divided, 4 divided by minus 2. What is the answer? Minus 2. The remainder is 0. So when you divide 4 by minus 2, you don't get a remainder. According to the definition of a factor, that means even minus 2 is also a factor of 4. There are 4 wala factors ලියන්න කිව්වහම අපි ලියන්නේ 1, 2 and 4 no. Those are only positive factors. But even minus 1, minus 2 and minus 4 are even factors. Those are even factors. So that is why even though you take the answer as x minus 2, it's correct. And even if you take it as 2 minus x, it's correct. Clear? Okay, so there, what has happened here, the final answer, ඒගොල්ලෝ අහන්න factorization එක නම් you have to just stop from here. If they're asking, okay, like factorize fx, you have to stop from here. But they're asking, write down the other linear factors. So that's why I wrote it separately. Okay, hands up if this plus minus story is clear. Okay, mark this as homework. In come to page number 3. Come to page number 3. Under question number 4, except 8 and 4, do the remaining 2. So only 2 is remaining. Question number 4, except 4 and 8. 4 and 8 will be doing at the last day of the lesson. Except 4 and 8, do the remaining 2. In question number 5, except 8 and 5. Question number 5, except 8 and 5, do the remaining 3. And under mixed questions, do up to question number 16. Do up to, not question number 16, do up to question number 16. You can say වෙනකන් ඔක්කොම කරන්න, including 16. Okay, you can get ready to go if you're done. Okay. Okay, silence. Okay, so next week when you're coming, silence. Next week, like it's not a new lesson. Like in our class, there's no any concept like every month we are starting a new lesson. එහෙම එකක් නෑ. අලුත් මාසයක් අලුත් පාඩමක් එහෙම එකක් නෑ. Because we have to finish the lesson and go. No? So next week it's not a new lesson, but make sure that you go through all the home, like silent. Make sure you complete all the homework and go through all the theories and converse that we have done today and come to next week class. බිම ලොකු homework එකක් නැහැ. At least by Monday evening or Tuesday morning, if you start to do it, you can easily do it. But I want you to go through the lesson and come next week. ලබන සතියේ ඇවිල්ලා remainder theorem, factor theorem කිව්වහම you can't act like aliens. I remember that it was there, not O levels, it was just 1 week before. Clear? So newcomers who are like, who's the first day is today, just remain after the class. I'll talk to them for 5 minutes. So next week, make sure that you come after going through all the lessons. Clear? Okay, we are done for today. You can go home safe.